Hello, welcome to This Family Does Everything. My name is Alexandria. This is the part 6 of Darrell Brooks versus Judge Dorow. But before we sit back, watch, and analyze the Darrell Brooks trial, I do want to say one thing. I want to say thank you to everybody who kept pushing me and motivating me to keep going after all of this. I was so humbled by the amount of support I got, the messages saying, how do we help you during all of this? Like, I really didn't think I was doing anything truly special, and I was blown away by the support. Like, I've never had anything like that in my life. So I appreciate all of that. I've missed you guys. I love y'all. Thank you so much for the support. But enough of my sappy stuff, because I could go on forever. Let's sit back, watch, and analyze part 6 of the Darrell Brooks trial.
Do you recall Mr. Lascano yelling that there were subjects standing outside of the building?
Objection, Your Honor. Hold on. I'm going to excuse the jury while I take up a legal issue. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. Be seated. Mr. Brooks, before I have you question this witness any further, it sounds like to me that you are attempting to offer through this witness the statements made by Mr. Lascano. If that is what you are trying to do, you may not do that. You will have to call Mr. Lascano as a witness if you so choose, if he's on your witness list. But that your questions are seeking to elicit hearsay from this witness. That's why I had the jury removed so I could explain my ruling and why I'm going to direct you not to ask this witness questions about what Mr. Lascano may or may not have said.
I'm reading directly from his report.
That would be double hearsay then, because it's not you need Mr. Lascano here to say what he told this officer. If you are attempting to offer it for the truth of the matter asserted, which is what I believe you are doing, you're attempting to establish the veracity of something Mr. Lascano either said or didn't say through another witness. That is hearsay.
So it's not hearsay for the prosecutor to bring up.
I'm not going to talk about other rulings. There's been an objection by the state, and I'm sustaining the objection, and I'm directing you not to ask this witness questions that would call for this witness to say what Mr. Lascano said. That is hearsay. That is textbook hearsay, Mr. Brooks.
And then I don't think it's fair for me to object to hearsay from the prosecution along the lines of the same type of thing.
I'm not going to have a debate on what may have come in previously. I know you've made a number of hearsay objections, many of which the answers that were being provided were not hearsay. But I would direct your attention to 908.01 of the Wisconsin statutes. You have that book in front of you that I provided to you a number of days ago at the beginning of this trial or near the beginning of this trial. There's the definitional section of the statutes, which defines hearsay. It also, and then if you go on to 908.02, that's obviously one you may want to look at as well. And then 908.03 has the exception. So unless you can give me an exception, sir, as to why this witness should be allowed to answer those questions, I'm going to, again, direct you not to ask these questions.
I'm reading directly from his report, the report that he wrote. Nothing is coming from. I'm reading directly from his report. That's what I have in front of me.
Doesn't change the fact that it's hearsay.
You said what?
That doesn't change the fact that it's hearsay.
So his report is hearsay?
Another level of hearsay. It's an out-of-court statement. So not this witness made, but what another witness made. So you have to...
So I can't read from his report that he wrote?
You can't ask this witness questions that call for a hearsay answer unless there's no objection from the state. Or you can convince me there's an exception to the hearsay rule that applies. Do you have an exception you'd like to offer to the court?
So I might as well not read the report that he wrote then if I can't question him about the report that he wrote.
That's your misunderstanding, sir, what is hearsay. And all I can tell you is I'm sustaining the objection. I'm going to bring the jury back out, and we'll go from there. All right, Madam Clerk, bring the jury out, please.
Clear bias. Clear bias.
Mr. Brooks, I understand you may
I don't
disagree
consent
with
to or agree to
the...
being called that name. For the record, again, I'm here as a third-party intervener on behalf of my client. My name is Darrell Brooks Jr. I don't know why that's not understood by now. So I guess I can't bring up the plaintiff either, huh? Tacit agreement.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Continue with your questions, sir.
I gotta tread lightly.
The jury will disregard that last comment,
I don't know why.
and that one as well.
Bias.
It's not your opportunity to testify. You'll be given an
I'm not
opportunity
testifying.
should you choose
I'm
later,
not
sir,
testifying.
but please question the witness.
If
Thank
I
you.
can ever get to it, I'll do that.
And again, the jury will disregard that statement. It's not evidence.
You made reference to a hat being on the hood. Can we pull Exhibit 99 up again?
Are you asking the state to do that, sir?
Yeah, can it please be pulled up and
Sure,
published?
it can, and it will. The jury can let me know when it's on the screens in the jury box, please. All right, it's in the jury box. Continue, please.
You testified to this being the hat, right?
That's correct.
And from this picture, can you tell what that is?
Not specifically.
So how do we know if that's a hat from looking at this picture?
From looking at this picture, it would be difficult to determine if that's actually a hat.
So it'd be fair to say you don't know what that is.
Based on this picture, you're
Based
right.
on this picture.
Based on this picture, I'm not able to determine what that item is.
Would it be also fair to say we can't even determine if that's outside or inside of the vehicle at that point?
I would disagree and say that is on the exterior of the vehicle,
And how
between
would
the
you make
hood.
that assumption if you can't tell what it is?
Objection. Argument.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Can you clear that?
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You can definitively say from this picture that you can tell where the item is based on this picture.
Yes.
Are you going off what you found or what you can see from the picture?
I can see from this picture that that item is on the exterior of the vehicle between the hood that is destroyed and the windshield.
So it's on the hood?
It is between the hood and the windshield of the vehicle.
And you can tell that from this picture.
Objection as an answer.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Sustained as to both grounds.
And from this picture, you can tell what this is.
Yes.
Just from the picture.
Yes.
And how do you come to that determination?
Based on the fact that it's hanging on the exterior of the vehicle from the driver's side mirror, that it is in the shape of a headband, and it is partially illuminated in this photograph with LED lighting.
It could be fair to say that it's anything. Would you not say that that's fair? Just from looking at the picture, it doesn't necessarily say, or it's not 100% identifiable from this picture. Would that be fair to say?
Objection, compound question.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Just from strictly looking at this picture, you can't positively say what the item is.
Objection. That's a mischaracterization of his testimony.
Sustained. Please rephrase.
Clear the photo.
You're asking Madam Clerk to please
Clear the
clear it?
photo.
Mr. Brooks, I'd ask that you show some deference to my clerk and not bark orders at her and use simple courtesy. Thank you. And thank you, Madam Clerk.
Will I be awarded the same, Your Honor?
Please ask your next question,
Will
sir.
I be awarded the same, Your Honor?
Please ask your next question.
I will. I just want to know if I'll be awarded the
I have
the
been.
same.
Thank you. Please continue.
Did you talk to anyone who lived in the residence?
I don't recall the specific persons I talked to or where they resided.
So it's fair to say you talked to someone.
There were multiple people outside of the residence and in the area at that time that I spoke briefly to.
But you don't know if any of them was the renter or owner of the driveway.
I do not recall.
Do you recall asking anyone if the vehicle belonged to somebody who may have stayed in that general area?
I do not recall asking that question to anyone.
You did state that you cleared the area. Would that be fair to say?
No, I said I cleared the vehicle, not the area.
Did you clear the area?
Eventually, we did clear the back portion of the residence to ensure there were no suspects or victims.
Who is we?
Persons of law enforcement.
And did you wait until law enforcement came before you started to do that? Or did you start on your own kind of way?
Upon arrival to the location of the suspect vehicle, I was by myself, so I initially cleared the vehicle to ensure that there were no potential threats to myself. When I advised dispatch that I had located the suspect vehicle, numerous officers came to assist me and were there relatively quickly to help me secure the area.
So would it be fair to say when you found the vehicle that you didn't locate anyone inside the vehicle?
Correct. No one was located inside the vehicle at that time.
And you also stated that you cleared the vehicle for possible threats to yourself. If no one was in the vehicle, what did you need to clear the vehicle of? What would be the threat?
Based on, again, as I earlier stated, what had occurred in the downtown, plus the fact that Officer Skolin had fired rounds at this vehicle, I was unsure who or what may be inside the vehicle. Given the time of day, as it was becoming dusk, it was getting harder to see outside. So to ensure my own safety, I cleared it the way I earlier stated.
So would it be fair to say that, well, let me back up. You took this photo, correct?
That is correct.
So that would mean you were, at least by that time, sure that no one was in the vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
That is correct.
So did you clear the vehicle before taking the picture or afterward?
I cleared the vehicle before I took the photograph.
Did you find any threats in there?
After I initially cleared it, no. It was deemed to not be a threat to my person.
Did you do any other investigating after you had took this photo?
Can you rephrase the question?
Did you do any other investigating after you took this photo?
After the photographs were collected of the vehicle in place from multiple angles, I did locate identifying information inside the vehicle.
What I'm asking is, so let me back up. So that was the extent of your investigation, was finding whatever you found in the vehicle at that point.
Correct.
Grounds.
His
I'll
answer
withdraw.
was- Thank you.
Correct.
So when you were clearing the vehicle, would it be fair to say that you could have done the same investigational work at that time?
No, that would not be fair to say.
And why not?
Because when you're clearing a vehicle to ensure that there are no threats to you, you're not looking for anything specific as far as evidentiary value. You're looking for a threat to your person.
So you would clear the vehicle of threats after being in the vehicle to do that, and then go back into the vehicle and look for, or start investigating rather.
Correct.
Why not do them all at once? Is that a procedural thing or
Asked and answered, Your Honor. I object.
grounds?
Sustained. Next question.
Is it usually procedure to investigate later on after clearing for threats?
Yes, you always want to ensure that where you're working on an investigation is clear of threats and that you are safe.
Would that be the same protocol if you were searching a home?
Objection. Relevance.
Grounds?
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain?
Relevance.
And you may mention that the vehicle wasn't, I guess I would say, touched or between the time that you were flagged down with the location of the vehicle until you actually observed the vehicle, you stated that you don't believe the vehicle was touched in any way in that time?
Objection. That's a misstatement of his testimony. Your Honor.
Grounds? You said something similar to that.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Are you sure that the vehicle was not touched in the time that you were flagged down about the location of the possible vehicle and observing the vehicle?
I am unaware if the vehicle was manipulated in any fashion from the time that Mr. Lascano flagged me down and to the time that I located the vehicle in the driveway.
Do you know approximately how long it took you to get to the vehicle when you were initially flagged down about the location of the vehicle?
I do not know how long it took me to get to the vehicle upon being flagged down.
So it's possible that it could have been manipulated.
Yes, it's possible.
At the time that you located the vehicle, were you aware of any suspect identification or name?
Can you restate your question, please?
At the time you located the vehicle, were you aware of any suspect or name of suspect?
No, I was unaware of any names of any suspect involved in the incident at the time I located the vehicle.
And when did you learn of that information, if you learned of that information?
I only learned the information of a possible suspect upon locating the identifying documents inside the vehicle and subsequently providing that information to dispatch.
At the time you found that information, did you immediately regard that information to be the possible suspect?
Yes, since it was in the vehicle that was heavily damaged, the red Ford Escape with the bullet hole in the windshield, yes, I believe that that information indeed belonged to a suspect.
And at some point you ran the license plates number. Would that be fair to say?
Correct, I did.
And you also stated that it was registered to someone that was not the suspect. Would that be fair to say?
As far as I know at that, or I'm sorry, as far as I knew at that time, I did not know if the person registered the vehicle to was a suspect or not.
You also stated that you found identifying paperwork in your investigation of the vehicle. Did that information match the identity of who the vehicle was registered to?
No, the identifying information, again, for Mr. Brooks that was inside the vehicle did not match the registration on file with Wisconsin Department of Transportation for the registration of the vehicle, which was Don L. Woods.
For the record, I don't identify by that name. Yet again, stating that for the record.
For the record, the jury will disregard that commentary by the defendant, and it also mischaracterizes the witness's testimony.
It does not. I was just stating for the record.
Again, the jury will disregard that
So-
commentary as Mr. Brooks is not presently testifying.
The information you found in the car, the vehicle was not registered to that person, correct?
That's correct.
So there's a possibility that at any time, multiple people can utilize that vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
Objection, speculation.
Grounds.
Calls for speculation. Sustained.
Would you agree that a vehicle registered to one person and information found by another person constitutes that more than one person used the vehicle?
Objection.
Grounds.
Go ahead.
The
Grounds.
the question was, does that prove that more than one person could drive the car? That's an improper question.
That wasn't the question.
Well, sustained as to the form of the question and assumes facts, not in evidence.
State that last part again.
It assumes facts, not in evidence, your question. Your next question, please.
Is it fair to say that people leave all types of information in family members' vehicles at any time?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant. Speculation.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain.
Ask your next question, Mr. Brooks, please.
May I have the grounds, please?
The objection has been sustained. Ask your next question, please.
May I have the grounds?
The court's not answering that. The record is self-evident.
Is that a tacit agreement?
Here's what I found.
Sir, I don't know what a tacit agreement is, so please keep going.
Clearly know what it is. Would it be fair to say, and this is along the lines of the same question, would it be fair to say that at some point you've left items in other people's vehicles?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain?
Next question, please, sir. I've sustained this question multiple times, multiple
wasn't
ways
the
you've
same
asked it.
question.
Next question, please.
May I have the grounds?
90611, sir.
May I have the grounds?
Next question, please.
Is it to relevancy? Is it to hearsay?
Under 90611, ask your next question or I will cut off your cross-examination. Please ask your next question,
You
sir.
have to give the grounds, though, Your Honor. Especially if I'm merely just asking for the grounds of the sustain.
Sir, ask your next question.
What's the point of me asking questions if I can't ask anything?
The jury will disregard his commentary
Can't even
that he
ask
just
anything.
stated right now.
Do you recall speaking to, well, you said you spoke to a few people. You didn't know if they were the owner of the house or the driveway or the renter. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
Did anyone you spoke to give you a description of a possible driver?
I was given multiple descriptions by multiple parties of multiple suspects that had fled the vicinity of the vehicle.
And what do you mean by multiple descriptions of multiple suspects? 2, 3, 4 people, 5?
I was given information that one male black suspect that was taller, wearing blue pants and black, had run southbound on Maple towards College. Additionally, I was given information that two shorter male blacks wearing gray sweatpants had run in a westerly direction from behind the residence at 338 Maple. And then later I was also given another description of a male black, unknown height, wearing like a gray sweatshirt and pants.
You said medium height for the last description?
Unknown height.
Unknown. Okay, I'm sorry. Unknown height. Did anyone you talked to report the sound of a crash?
No one I spoke to at this location reported anything regarding the sound of a crash.
Did you see any signs that there may have been a crash once you and other officers were securing the area?
As far as the vicinity around the vehicle or the vehicle itself?
The general area.
As far as the general area, given the time of day, I was unable to determine if there was any signs of a crash in that vicinity.
When talking to the people that you, while talking to the people that gave you the descriptions, did they identify themselves as living close or living in any of the houses in that area?
No, due to the chaotic nature of the event, I did not ascertain where these individuals lived or if they were associated with any neighboring residents.
Do you know if they made any other statements to any other law enforcement that was there present with you at that time?
Not to my knowledge.
Why do you think you received so many different descriptions of suspects?
Multiple people from multiple angles observed different things, and there was a lot of people there. It was a very chaotic event. Even this particular scene was chaotic and hectic with numerous people coming to and from, so it was difficult to determine that information.
Did any of the people that you spoke with give any reason to why the suspects that they identified would run from the scene?
Objection. Speculation
Grounds.
also calls for hearsay.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds.
Next question, sir.
Do you recall any of the officers that were securing the scene with you having a K-9 present?
Yes, I do.
And do you recall what officer that was?
That was Officer Bausman, who was a K-9 handler with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
And eventually you left the scene where the vehicle was found and started searching the area?
Yes, I transferred command of that location to Officer Buttrin, had him remain at that scene for scene security with additional City of Brookfield officer, and then myself, K-9 Officer Bausman, and numerous other police officers from various departments conducted an area search as we were conducting a K-9 track, based on the information I had obtained of multiple suspects running from the area.
And do you recall what time you went back to where you initially observed the vehicle?
I do not recall what time I made it back, but it was some hours later.
And did you go back to your department after leaving from the scene where you found the vehicle?
Yes, I was directed by my command staff to return to the police department as the scene was still secured by other law enforcement officers of various agencies.
And were you instructed to make contact with anyone at that point?
Yes, I was.
Do you recall who?
I do.
May you state for the jury and for the record?
Yes, upon arrival to the police department, I was directed to make contact with District Attorney Sue Opper.
And when you say Sue Opper, are you referring to District Attorney Sue
With
Opper?
District Attorney Sue Opper. Yes, that's what I said. With District Attorney Sue Opper.
Is she here in court today?
Yes, she is.
Can you point her out for the jury?
She's seated at the prosecution table wearing the gray cardigan.
Let the record reflect that the witness has identified Attorney Opper.
No objection, Your Honor.
The record will so reflect.
And do you recall what the nature of the contact was with Attorney Opper?
Yes, I was directed to locate Attorney Opper in the downtown area at the scene of the parade incident and subsequently transport her back to the City of Waukesha Police Department.
So I'm assuming make contact with her at the parade, so you went and picked her up?
That's correct. I picked her up in the area of Maple in Wisconsin. I'm sorry. The area of Maple and Main Street.
And did you continue that contact after picking her up? And let me back up. Where did you go after picking up Attorney Opper?
As I stated, once I picked her up, I transported her back to the City of Waukesha Police Department.
And did you continue to have contact at that point?
I did.
And what was the nature of that contact?
District Attorney Opper and I worked together to draft a search warrant for the 2010 red Ford Escape SUV that was in the driveway of 338 Maple Street.
You said a search warrant?
Correct.
Initially, when you secured the vehicle and then investigated the vehicle after securing it, what did you need to search for at that point that you needed a search warrant?
After I cleared the vehicle and located those items of identifying nature, that was done due to the exigency of the event and identifying any outstanding suspects. After that was done and photographed in place, I resecured the vehicle and it was no longer touched at that point. So therefore, later on, it was required to have a search warrant to continue processing that vehicle for items of evidentiary value.
So you just stated that the vehicle wasn't touched between those times. So what if anything new, did you need to search for?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer.
The basis of the search warrant was to ensure that, again, any items of evidentiary value I may have overlooked due to, again, the exigency of trying to find identifying information of an outstanding suspect, as well as clearing the vehicle for safety reasons. That is the purpose of the search warrant, is to do a more slow, methodical search of the vehicle for said items of evidentiary value.
But it would be fair to say that after initially clearing the vehicle, for, as you said, for any possible threats to you, and investigating the vehicle further a second time, what did you feel would be of evidentiary value at that point that you hadn't already observed before?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Grounds, I'm referring to him stating the evidentiary value.
Asked and answered. Sustained.
So what was the evidentiary value that you were looking for
Same
with
objection.
the search warrant?
It's the same question a different way, so I'm going to sustain it. It's been asked, it's been answered. Next question, please.
Can you give an example of what evidentiary value is?
Something of evidentiary value can really be anything that's pertinent to the case. An example would be like a shell casing or a spot of blood that can render DNA results, things of that nature.
Did you find any of those things when obtaining the search warrant?
Objection.
Grounds.
Well, that's factually inaccurate, Your Honor.
It assumes a fact, not an evidence. I'll sustain the objection as to the form of the question.
Did you find, upon obtaining the search warrant, were you able to find anything of evidentiary value?
Same objection. Assumes a
Grounds.
fact, not an evidence, Your Honor.
Sustained. It assumes facts, not an evidence. Please rephrase and establish a foundation related to whether this witness performed that subsequent search.
After obtaining the search warrant, did you yourself go back and search the vehicle?
No.
Do you recall what officer was dispatched to do to execute the search warrant?
No, I do not know who ultimately searched the vehicle for items of evidentiary value.
Do you recall if the vehicle was then towed from that area at some point?
Yes, the vehicle was removed at some point. I do not know when or by whom.
Do you recall where it was moved to?
I do not know where the vehicle was moved to.
You stated earlier that you did observe a gunshot in the windshield. Did you notice any other bullet marks?
No, the only mark that I observed related to a gunshot was the bullet hole in the windshield on the passenger side.
And was that, you said on the passenger side, was it to the passenger side window, the passenger side chair, the passenger side dash? Do you recall where the bullet hole was?
As I previously stated, it was in the windshield, front windshield, on the passenger side.
Were you at any time given a copy of the search warrant?
Yes, upon completion of the search warrant, I was given a copy. The original went over to the command center.
Is it a standard protocol that, being that you were the one that obtained the search warrant, is it usually a thing where you don't have to be the one to execute it? Any other officer could execute it?
Based on the requirement of the search warrant to process this vehicle for items of evidentiary value, that's beyond the scope of my training and experience. So therefore, it was relayed to persons that are capable of actually doing that.
But you can, you said it's beyond your level or something. I didn't catch where you said it was beyond your level or something.
It's beyond my scope of training and experience.
Beyond your scope of training. The actual writing of the search warrant isn't above your scope and training. Would that be fair to say?
That's correct.
But the execution is.
Of this particular search warrant, yes.
What made this particular search warrant different than any ones you've ever written or obtained before?
This particular search warrant was for a search of the vehicle involved in the Christmas parade incident. And given the gravity of the situation and the resulting effects of what this vehicle was used for, persons that are highly skilled in collecting items of evidentiary value are obviously the people we want to do that rather than a patrol officer.
And you were able to get that search warrant signed, correct?
That's correct.
Do you remember by whom?
Yes.
Can you state for the record and for the jury?
At that time of the search warrant, the on-call judge was contacted, and the on-call judge was the Honorable Jennifer Dorow.
That would be the judge right now in the courtroom.
Yes, that's correct.
Did that complete your part of the investigation for that incident at that time?
Yes, upon getting the search warrant, I was relieved of my duties.
Did you ever come back into the investigation in any way after that point?
After that point, no.
After your part of the investigation ended, were you able to obtain any more information that you didn't know the night of your investigation?
Objection, vague,
Grounds.
cause for speculation.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Please ask your next question.
Do you recall having any more contact with Attorney Opper after that initial night?
No.
When were you aware that it was a possibility that you could be called to testify in this matter?
When I received a subpoena to testify in this matter.
Excuse me, I didn't.
When I received a subpoena to testify in this matter.
Was that subpoena served to you by the district attorney's office?
Yes, it was.
Was it served by Attorney Opper?
I don't recall who served me directly. I believe it was via electronic.
Do you recall when you received that subpoena?
I don't recall the exact date, but it was a few months ago.
So it's pretty recent, but a little time since you received it.
Yes, that's fair to say.
Would you by chance know who the plaintiff is in this matter? Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Ever seen or talked to the plaintiff? Had any physical interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, vague, and compound
Grounds.
question.
Sustained.
You even know if there's a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Sustained.
You know who filed the complaint in this matter?
The complaint was filed by the district attorney's office.
Do you know if it was filed by Attorney Opper?
I don't know particularly who filed the complaint. I just know it was by the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office.
And during your time in law enforcement, would it be fair to say that whoever files the complaint is a party to the matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
beyond the scope of the witness's knowledge,
Grounds.
Your Honor.
Sustained. Next question.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Next question, please.
Any reason why the state of Wisconsin would be identified as the plaintiff when they did not file the complaint?
Objection, argumentative, misstatement of the law.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Ask your next question, please.
Was that the grounds?
Next question, please.
The jury deserves to know this.
The jury will disregard that last statement.
They need to know.
I've sustained the objection, sir. Ask your next question, please.
I'm aware that it was sustained. I'm aware. I just wanted to know the grounds. You can't keep hiding stuff from the jury.
Mr. Brooks, the court is not hiding anything from anyone, and the jury will disregard that last statement. It is not evidence in any way in this case.
Would it be fair to say that any case has a plaintiff?
Objection.
Grounds.
Lack of foundation beyond the scope of the witness's knowledge.
Sustained.
Would it be? Can I rephrase the question?
Go ahead. I can't say whether it will be answered or not, but you can go ahead
But
and rephrase it.
I can't rephrase, just so we're clear. Whether it's answered or not, I can still rephrase the question.
I don't know what the question will be, sir, so I can't make a ruling that's advisory. So ask your next question, please.
Are you aware that in any case brought into a courtroom, there has to be a plaintiff?
Objection.
Grounds.
Same question.
Grounds is
It
not
also
the same
misstates the law, so sustained.
If there's no plaintiff, how's their case?
Move to strike.
The jury will disregard the last comment and statement made by Mr. Brooks.
Grounds. There's a
It's a
defendant, there has to be a
misstatement of
plaintiff.
the law. It's not relevant. This jury will be the judge of the facts. The court is the judge of the law. Please continue, sir, or under 906.11, I will stop the cross-examination.
If there's a defendant, there has to be a plaintiff.
Mr. Brooks, please stop. The jury will also disregard that statement. It's a mischaracterization of the law. It's a misstatement of the law.
Based on what law or fact, Your Honor?
And I'll address that with Mr. Brooks once again after the jury has been excused. One final time, you may ask another question. Otherwise, I will, and it must not be along the same lines, or under 906.11, I will ask the state whether there's any redirect.
Do you know of anyone who filed a claim in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
It's also vague, so I'll sustain it.
So the grounds is vagueness.
And relevance.
Is it vague or is it relevant?
Sustained, Mr. Brooks. Next question.
So since your initial night of investigation, you've done no investigation since then in this matter?
Correct.
And have you seen any news reports?
Objection. Relevance.
Can I finish the question?
You can, there's been no identification, so under 906.11, meaning of, I'm going to sustain the objection without hearing the rest of the question. I don't see how it would have any relevance. I'll let you make an offer of proof after we're outside the presence of the jury, and if necessary, you can recall this witness. Next question.
In that case, then, since that is stated on the record, no further questions. I would like to finish at some point.
Sir, finish your cross-exam as to
Just
that
said
limited.
no further questions.
Okay, but as to that limited topic only. So if there are other things outside that topic, please finish your questioning.
I just said 2 times. I'm going to say it again. No further questions.
All right, thank you then, sir. State have any redirect?
No, nothing else. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. You may be excused. I'm going to excuse the jury momentarily to take up a legal issue with the parties, and hopefully we'll have you brought back out shortly. You can use this opportunity for a comfort break, though. Please be seated. You may make an offer of proof, sir, as it relates to why or what questions and what information you believe this officer would provide about news reports that he has seen.
So the offer of proof would just be to that one question?
What would the question be?
The question was, would have been, if I was allowed to finish it, had he seen any news reports directly connected to the incident?
But what's the relevance?
The same thing that many other witnesses have been asked, and it was never sustained. Then it was never even objected to. So it was the same. It was essentially
Let's focus
one of
on
the same
the
questions.
specific objection that was posed, and my
And what was the grounds for
willingness
it?
to give you an opportunity to provide the court with an offer of proof. This was what relevance would this particular witness seeing news reports have to his testimony?
The same thing that any other witness that was asked the same question.
Which would be what? You have to be specific, sir.
I was specific.
I'm not
Have
gonna
they
assume
saw-
I understand what you are saying.
Have they saw any reports related to the incident? That's the same question that's been asked by numerous
Well, there would
witnesses.
be a follow-up to that. So how is it relevant to this witness's testimony?
It's relevant to anyone who gets on the stand's testimony.
What's the legal basis you believe it's relevant to his testimony, sir?
It obviously forms an opinion.
Again, you need to explain to me, sir, the legal basis why you believe I should allow that witness to be asked that question and then any follow-up based on his response.
What would have been the follow-up?
I'm asking you, sir,
asked and it would
you're
have got
the
answered.
one who's the proponent of this particular testimony and this questioning and the evidence. So explain to me your legal basis for why you believe it's relevant to ask, or any other reason, any legal basis you believe it's that I should allow that question to be asked.
I don't understand how you want me to answer that. I've stated the reason why I asked the question.
No, you stated it's obvious, but it's not obvious to me, so I'm asking you to explain it.
I also stated that I just clearly stated that it goes towards biasness.
I'm
That
sorry,
would
it
be
goes to
relevant.
what? Wait, it goes to what?
Biased.
Bias?
Biased.
No, bias. B-I-A-S. There's no T at the end. Bias. I want to make sure I understand your
now it's a
reasoning
problem
correctly,
with how
sir.
to
So
correct something.
it's
How to
you're
pronounce
saying it
something.
goes to bias. How does it go to bias of this witness, sir?
How would it not go to if you see something in the news?
It's not a proper legal argument, sir.
Okay, well, I don't know how you want me to answer
How
that.
would what he saw subsequent to his investigation impact either what he did beforehand or his testimony here? You have to make an offer of proof as to that. Without that, I'm not going to allow it.
You didn't allow it anyway, so what do it matter at this point?
I'm giving you the opportunity. It's called an offer of proof.
Okay,
I said I
know
would
it.
recall the
I'm well
witness
aware-
if I
I'm well aware
determine.
what an offer of proof is.
Okay,
I'm well aware.
so make your offer of proof.
I don't need to. It's clear. It's very clear. I don't see anything funny either.
It's not funny, sir. It's a circular argument. You're telling me that it's
I
clear.
wasn't referring that to you. The person that it was referred to know who they are.
Well, let's stay on task, please. So
I'm trying to.
you're
but it's
claiming
hard.
it goes to bias,
May I
but
say this?
in what
May I
way?
say this for the record, Your Honor? It's hard to stay on task when it seems like the prosecution can ask essentially anything they want to ask.
Mr. Brooks,
But then when I object-
I had
Wait,
an
wait.
objection before. Well, here's the thing: you want to go off target, and you want
It's
to
not
bring
off
up
target.
things from the past. I can't explain to you why sometimes the state has an objection and other times they don't. But
That's not what I asked.
when an objection has been made, it is my obligation to rule on it. And so there was an objection.
I'm aware of that, Your Honor. But I'm also aware of the fact, and it's clear that I object quite often, and every single time I object is just thrown to the side every single time.
Well, I would disagree with that characterization, sir.
And why
I
would
make
you
my
disagree with
rulings
that?
in this
Why would
case
you disagree
based.
with that?
I'm like
Can
an
you point out
umpire.
one time?
I'm like an umpire in a baseball game, sir. I call and see the legal objections as I see them. That is my role, and that is what I do. And
Are you kidding me?
that's exactly
Your
what I
Honor.
do. I'm an umpire, sir.
Your Honor.
I am a referee in this trial.
If you're the
And
umpire
let me
with
finish.
Okay.
Let me finish,
Okay.
Mr. Brooks.
I
Okay?
apologize. I'm letting
So,
you finish.
sometimes parties make objections, sometimes they don't. There can be a variety of reasons. You make a lot of objections in this case. From my perspective, okay, you make a number of objections, I rule on them, and you disagree with them. But that doesn't mean I'm casting things aside. I'm making a call based on the rules of evidence. So, for example, if there's a relevance objection, I'm going to analyze that, okay, based on the objection that's been made. Sometimes I might think there's another basis for something to either come in or not come in. But my rule book, okay, is the rules of evidence, which are the statutes, which once again, I'll point out, I gave you, sir, near the beginning of this trial, so that you would have a better understanding of what those rules are. If you choose not to read them, that's fine. But you cannot then claim that there is somehow foul play because you haven't read them and you don't understand what they are. Your ignorance of the law is not a defense for any of this. Okay? And you getting frustrated with me because you don't understand that, I mean, it's just what it is. But I'm calling these legal shots as I see them. And I've asked you repeatedly for an offer of proof. You want to ask this witness who had limited involvement regarding a part of an investigation related to that vehicle. I don't see the relevance, even to bias, for which I will allow him to answer that. You haven't given me a legal or factual reason to overrule the objection and to bring the witness back on the stand and to question him about his viewing of any news reports. So with that, we are going to take a very short break. The jury's been out for a little bit, but I recognize it's 3:25. It will be a good opportunity for a comfort break, and when we come back on, the state should be prepared to call the next witness.
Can I at least rebuttal to what you just said since you asked me
I don't
not
need a
to
rebuttal, sir. You may not agree with me, but I've made
It's not
my
about agreeing.
record.
You just told me not to interrupt you, and I didn't. So I at least deserve the chance to put on the record a rebuttal.
What would you like to put on the record as it relates to the specific issue for which I was giving you the opportunity to be heard? Not anything else, not subject matter jurisdiction, not
Now you
whether
said
the
that.
state's doing
I didn't
other
even
things.
bring that up,
I'm
Your Honor.
only asking you to address the offer of proof.
No,
if
I
you
wanna-
have something, go ahead. But
I wanna-
only as it relates
I
to
want to
that.
address your position because you said you're like the umpire, right?
Well, I'm not getting... Okay, go ahead, sir. I'm not sure why you need to respond to
Because-
that.
Because it needs to be on the record. If you're the umpire, that means you're the referee.
That's what I'm doing here
when,
today, sir.
And when you're not reffing fair if the jury's not allowed to hear things that's important for them to know.
I respectfully disagree, sir. Again, just because you believe the law means you have a right to question all these witnesses about who the plaintiff is and about subject matter jurisdiction doesn't
I didn't question
make it
anybody
so.
about that.
Okay?
That was,
it doesn't
that was
make
between
it
you
so.
and I. That didn't have nothing to do with a witness. I've
You
never
want to
once
question
questioned a
these
witness
witnesses,
about subject
sir,
matter
about
jurisdiction.
whether they are aware of complaints. And the funny thing is, sir, I sometimes let that question be answered for reasons that are completely different, I believe, than why you want them in. I am not going to explain that because I don't have to
say
explain that.
what's my reason for asking it.
Well, I believe you've made it very clear, sir. So here's the bottom line.
I don't.
One of my roles is to be the umpire.
Then you got to
All
be
right?
fair, Your Honor. You're a public servant.
I am fair, and I'm
No,
going
you're
to follow
not.
the
You're not
rules
being
of
fair.
evidence,
Your
sir.
Honor,
that
this is
doesn't
why I
mean
say that.
unfettered questioning
This is
of
why I say that.
witnesses that are not relevant or that call for hearsay or for a variety of other reasons that are speculative. There's a whole host of reasons in the rules of evidence, sir, that require me to make those determinations.
You're not being
I
fair.
respect
You're not
that
being
you
fair,
might
though.
not think it's always fair, but
It's
I
not.
disagree with the characterization. I think it has more to do with your lack of understanding of the rules of evidence and the rules of procedure, which you knowingly and freely and voluntarily and deliberately made a choice to represent yourself. And
And you keep
I
saying
warned
that
you at
because
that
it sounds
time,
good
sir.
on the
You did
record,
that
but
at
it's
your
not.
peril.
It's not accurate. You accepted when you gave me the paperwork, Your Honor. I
I'm
gave
not-
it back to
I'm
you.
not going in. I didn't say that, sir, so we can go back and rehash all of those things.
But you know you accepted
All right.
the way that I gave you the paperwork back. So once
And I
you
made
accept
findings
that,
on the record, which I will stand by, sir. So
and I'm not,
with that,
I'm not
we're going
arguing.
to take.
I'm not arguing your findings.
I
I'm
need
not
a comfort
arguing
break.
the findings,
I'm sure
Your Honor.
you need a comfort. I would like to get through one more
You got
witness
it.
today.
You got
Thank
it. You got to
We're
call
off
it
the
fair.
record, sir.
You got.
State calls its next witness. I want to bring to the party's attention that the court just now issued a decision and order in this case. I've signed it. Madam Clerk is pulling it through, and I will provide the parties with a written copy here in court. It addresses the matter of subject matter jurisdiction.
So we're going to address it.
No, I've issued an order. I'm going to give it to you. That's why I'm addressing it. You can review it later, but there's a written decision now denying your motion to dismiss.
So is that including verified proof that you have subject matter jurisdiction? Because it has yet to be verified or proven.
Mr. Brooks, you keep making that statement, but it's a misstatement of the requirements in the law.
So it doesn't have to be proven?
You are going to get a written decision. That's how I'm addressing this. And then I'm going to have the jury brought out and just providing courtesy copies to the parties as I had an opportunity to finalize that over the break.
I accept for value and return for value this document.
Thank you for noting that. All right, bring the jury out. State has its next witness, I presume, ready to go? All right. When the jury's brought out, you may call the witness.
Is that verified proof that you have subject matter jurisdiction?
The decision and order speaks for itself, sir.
Is it verified proof that you have it?
Sir, I believe it answers your questions.
I don't believe so.
Unequivocally.
There's no verified proof proven yet.
Yeah, it's the same.
There's no verified proof if we're in common law or admiralty law. What court is this?
Sir, I believe your answers will be in that decision and order.
I don't believe so.
Well, have you read it yet?
I don't have to.
Okay.
I accept
they're
it
in
for
there.
value and return for value, so
All right, they're in there, sir. It's a final order for
verified
purposes
proof
of
is in
appeal.
there? Verified proof is
So
in
if
there?
you'd like to challenge that, you can take that up with the appellate courts.
Verified proof is in
All
there?
rise.
Because I don't think it is. Proof of claim is not in there either. No one has a claim.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Statement called its next witness.
State calls Carlos Arachiga. Describe the vehicle for us that you saw in the driveway.
It was a red vehicle, SUV, bigger, not a sedan, not a truck, not a pickup truck. It was just a red SUV.
When you looked out your second story window at the driveway and you saw the vehicle, at that time, could you see whether there was any damage to the vehicle?
Yeah,
Answered that already.
Overruled.
Said it was
You may
beat up.
answer.
yeah, I saw damage to the vehicle. It was mostly at the hood of the car. You can see damage to the front windshield as well. I was able to even see sort of kind of like a lit up headband on the rear view mirror or the side view mirror, kind of hanging right about, kind of inside or on it, I guess you can say.
Okay. When you looked out the window, had the SUV already come to a stop or was it still moving?
It was at a complete stop when I looked out the window.
The person you described earlier, Where did you first see that person?
Already outside of the vehicle, like I said, jumping out, mostly over the hood of the car. And as soon as that happened, I instinctively kind of just shut down the blind. And since we live in a duplex, I thought it was somebody from downstairs that maybe crashed into one of our cars. Maybe they caused an accident, and I tried contacting the people downstairs right away. So I wasn't really in much of a threat, I guess you can say, but I was just confused at the moment.
Okay. We'll come back to that. I want to ask you a couple more questions about this person that you saw. Was this person directly below you in your vantage point, or was it off to the side?
It was more
relevancy.
Overruled. He may answer.
It was more towards the side. Wasn't really below me. Sort of leaving my point of view from the window.
Did you see what direction that person went after they jumped over the hood of the SUV?
It would have been sort of straight ahead, kind of towards the left of the driveway, so I couldn't see them anymore. We have two windows, one in the bedroom, one in the living room, and if I was in the bedroom, I would have been able to see exactly where they went, but they just went left from my point of view.
So would that have been toward or away from Maple?
That would have
a
been
witness.
Hold on. If there's an objection, wait until I rule on it. And overruled, the witness may answer.
It was towards Maple Avenue.
Did you see that person reach Maple Avenue?
No.
Why not?
The point of view from the window doesn't really let me see towards Maple Avenue or Maple Avenue altogether.
Okay. After the person went out of your field of view, is that when you tried to contact your downstairs neighbor?
Yeah, because I assumed that it was maybe somebody they invited over because I really didn't recognize the person, and I tried contacting them to make sure they knew who it was or who the person was.
From the moment you first looked out your window and saw that SUV until the moment that the person we've been talking about went out of your field of view, did you see any other people outside your window?
No.
Did you at some point go downstairs to investigate?
Yeah. That was during me going downstairs. I was trying to contact the people downstairs because they always invite people over. And that was a vehicle I've never seen in my life. So I assumed maybe it was one of their friends, somebody. So when I went downstairs, I sort of came to the front of the vehicle. I was able to see the damage up front. The hood was really beat up. You could see it steaming a little bit. So when I contacted the neighbors, one of them actually told me that they'll ask around. He came back to me. He said, that's nobody's car. They all came out. We were all kind of surrounding it, and we were still confused as to why the car was there. And at that same time, when we were looking at the damage of the vehicle, people were leaving downtown Waukesha from Maple Avenue from the library going the other way. And some of them were running. Some of them looked scared. Some of them, one of them told us to call the cops. We were kind of confused as to why. And mostly because we saw the vehicle. And we tried not touching it. We tried just leaving it be. One of the people from downstairs called the cops, and we waited a little bit. And as soon as the cops showed up, they told us to go back inside, and I was sort of inside for the rest of the afternoon until the car was removed.
When you first started standing around the vehicle with the other people you talked about, do you remember approximately how many people were standing around the SUV?
It would have been the three main neighbors that we have from downstairs, two of their girlfriends, I believe, and then two of their other friends would have maybe been around like 6, 7. And then my mom was also down with me, and then I was there with her. But we tried not really interacting with the vehicle. We were telling everybody not to interact with it.
And was it at that time, while you were standing with those people around the SUV, that you saw other people running down Maple?
Yes.
And what direction were they running?
They were heading towards the restaurant La Estacion, heading towards kind of like the train tracks, leaving from the library from Maple Avenue.
So would that be running north or running south?
I guess if you're if you're looking at downtown Waukesha, I guess that would be north. I guess if south is heading towards downtown, north would be heading away from it.
Okay, let's put up. Can we please display for the witness only exhibit number 130?
Go ahead.
And can we zoom in on the right middle of the screen?
Objection. What's the relevancy?
Well, I'm going to ask you to show the witness a map that does not have the annotations. So I'll sustain your objection. So you want to tell me when to turn it back on?
Sure.
Okay.
Objection. What's being looked up that's not already in the exhibit? Look like something was being looked up. Via,
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Is it
They're
exhibit? Is it?
looking for an,
I guess my objection would be: is there an exhibit being shown, or is there being?
There's
something
nothing shown to the witness right now. It's off. Was it exhibit 130? It's 130. Was it ever received? Not yet. Okay. So you objected. I sustained the objection, and so I told the state not to show the map with annotations.
Okay.
So whatever they're doing in response to that, I can't answer.
Something popped up on the screen to look like they was trying to Google something, and then now my screen is off now.
It was actually the water coming out.
So that wouldn't be an exhibit.
I didn't see anything, so we can take that up later if need be, but let's keep going with the questioning of the witness, and we can deal with that later, outside the presence of the jury.
Just for the record, I know it's 140 exhibits, so it shouldn't be no more than that. Can't create exhibits right now.
Well, we'll get to any legal issues later, so if the state can continue, please.
I'll try to clear this up without any more exhibits for Mr. Brooks. When you are standing in your driveway facing Maple Avenue, if you wanted to go to downtown Waukesha, would you go left or right?
Objection. That was asked and answered. He asked north or south, and he already answered that question.
This question has not been asked or answered, so your objection is overruled. The witness may answer.
And I'm sorry, you can answer that again.
It was left. Yeah.
And if you wanted to go to La Estacion or the train tracks, would you go left or right?
It would be right.
So the people who were running past your house on Maple, were they running towards downtown, or were they running towards La Estacion?
Towards La
Objection.
Estacion.
Sorry, was there an objection?
Asked and answered.
It was clarification, so his answer may stand. The objection is overruled.
Okay. Now, at the time that you were standing around the SUV with those other people, how much time had gone past between that time and the time that you first heard the noise and looked out your window upstairs?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
I would say that it was maybe around 2 minutes, not even that much, because I still had to get my shoes and everything. I wanted to go downstairs, and at the same time I was texting the neighbor from downstairs. So I would say a little bit of time passed by before I went downstairs.
Okay. Can we please show for everyone exhibit number 65, a video which has previously been received?
Go ahead.
Just wait for a thumbs up from the bailiff. Okay. Do you recognize the area that's depicted in this exhibit?
Yeah.
Tell us what we're looking at here.
Right now we're looking at sort of the side of the building that's from Les Paul that's facing my house and facing Maple Avenue. That house in the corner is my neighbor's house. I know them as the Loxes, and over there to the left where the perimeter of the fence ends, that's my house with the brick sort of kind of pillars and balcony. That'd be my house.
Okay.
So I know I could see what the witness was pointing to.
We're going to have that tape.
So, very well. I just wanted, it's kind of difficult for me to put that on the record, so if you can have some further questioning, that would be good.
Sure. That screen in front of you is a touch screen, as long as you use your
Okay.
finger. Can you circle your house for us?
It would be right here.
And we're at the 0-second timestamp on this, just for the record. And then if we could clear that, please. Now I'm going to ask Ms. Gussie to pull up the Zoom tool again. And we've zoomed in on the top left quadrant of this photo, of this video. If we could play here from the beginning.
Objection. What's the relevancy?
Overruled. It's been admitted already. He testified his house is in it.
Pause. At the 27-second mark, we pause there. Sir, do you recall, well, let me just back up there. Did you see on the video there a figure emerging from your driveway?
Yeah,
Could you circle that figure for us?
right here, and then
thank you.
right there as well. Where, yeah.
And what's the second thing you circled?
Just a vehicle.
Okay, let's clear those two circles, please. Does that figure, understanding the limitations of how far away this camera is, does that figure appear to be consistent with the figure you saw hopping over the hood of the SUV?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
At the time of my sort of testimony, when we got a visit from detectives, I told them that I did see a figure. I remember saying that he had a hoodie. At the time, I told them that I wasn't really sure of the color of it, and when I was asked again the next morning, I just told them that maybe it was like a gray, a white, but I told them that maybe it was part of the stuff that I saw on top of the car. I remember seeing scarves on top of the car, that headband that was white with colors. So at the time, it was like a flash, and I was, what's it called? I can see that I was sort of correct because it was a year ago, and when I gave my testimony, I said everything I could, like that I remembered at that time, which was person I saw had a hoodie on. Wasn't really able to see them face to face, but I can see that they were sort of leaving the car, jumping over the hood of the car, and just kind of, yeah.
Okay. And you did not see that person's face?
No.
Okay. Let's play just a couple more seconds here before we hit play, though. I'll just ask you to focus on the figure we've been talking about. And pause. At 31 seconds. Based on what you've seen so far in this exhibit, does that figure appear to be traveling in a path consistent with what you remember?
Yeah.
Objection. Hearsay. You say you can't see the street from the window.
Overruled. He may answer the way that question was phrased.
When I mentioned the direction of the person that I saw leaving, facing my driveway, obviously there's an exit which connects that entryway where all the cars are parked, and then our driveway where our garage is, and sort of the way that I saw the person leaving was towards the left of my field of view, which would be heading towards Maple Avenue.
Okay. I'm now going to show for the witness only, please, exhibit number 66. Do you recognize the photograph on the screen in front of you?
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at the side of my house that faces kind of the other side of Maple Avenue, I guess you can say.
Okay. Are we on the same side of your house as the camera angle from the last exhibit?
No, we're not.
On the other side?
Yeah, the other camera on the school building was facing the right side of the house. This is facing the left side of the house.
Is this how your house appeared on the night of November 21st, 2021?
Yeah.
Move Exhibit 66 into evidence and ask to publish.
Exhibit 66 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Do you see a vehicle in your driveway in this picture?
Yeah, it's the red SUV that I described.
Okay. We'll show now for the witness only, please, exhibit number 67. Do you recognize this exhibit?
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at my driveway, and then my house is to the right. And sort of, this is kind of like the area that we were sort of looking at the car from. We approached a little bit closer, but that's sort of what I saw that night. That is what I saw that night.
Okay. And actually, Judge, just to be a little more efficient with time, I'm going to move through the rest of these photos and lay the foundation and then move them all in at once.
Go ahead.
Sorry. All right. We'll show the witness only, please, 68. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at the car, or the SUV, sorry, that in my driveway. To the left, you can see a little bit of a kind of like a stump, a log, and I recognize those logs from the backyard of my neighbor's house, and it was sort of dragged all the way to our driveway as well.
Let's show the witness number 71, please.
Objection. What's the relevancy of all these photos?
Your objection to relevance is noted. It's overruled. Go ahead.
Do you recognize what we're looking at in 71?
Yeah, that house, the White House, or sort of the one that's not to the side, to the right, that's my neighbor's house.
73 for the witness only, please. You recognize what we're
Objection.
looking at here in exhibit? I'm sorry, there's an objection.
Where's the relevancy of this? What we're looking at?
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. I believe the witness is going to explain.
You can see sort of remains of like some of those logs or like those stumps of logs that they had, and seems to be a car part from the vehicle as well.
Okay. Do exhibits 67 through 73 accurately portray your driveway, your backyard, and your neighbor's backyard as they looked the night of November 21st?
Yeah.
And you went outside and looked at these things yourself, correct?
Yeah, I did. Before the cops sort of arrived, when we were sort of hovering around the car, and my neighbors were contacting the police, I was trying to see if any damage was done to our vehicles, because that was our main concern, since we had no idea what happened with the parade or anything. We just tried to go see what happened to our driveway, what we needed to worry about, but yeah.
I move exhibits 67 through 73 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Objection. No relevancy.
Court notes the objection. It's overruled. Exhibits 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, and 73 are all received. Permission to publish granted.
Okay, we'll start publishing number 67, please.
Can the jury let me know if the monitors are on in front of you? Not yet? Okay.
All right. Thank you. So you previously testified about what's in this photo. That's the red SUV we've been talking about, correct?
Yeah.
And we are facing, if you're the person taking the picture right now, are you facing towards Maple or away?
Away from Maple Avenue.
Okay. Let's take a look at 68, please. This is just a close-up view of that red SUV.
Yeah.
Objection. Leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
What is this?
It is the red SUV in my driveway, all beat up.
And you referenced a stump earlier when you were describing this photograph. Can you point that out for us? Maybe circle it for us?
Objection. Relevancy as to a stump. What does that have to do with?
Overruled. The witness may answer.
That stump of log would be sort of on that part of the picture.
The left side of the picture?
Yeah, the left side of the picture.
Can we please clear that, Madam Clerk? Was that stump in that position in your driveway before you saw this red SUV?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled, it's relevant. The witness may answer.
No.
Okay, let's take a look at Exhibit 69, please. So what direction have we moved as we go from Exhibit 68 to 69?
We have moved more back of the driveway. We have moved looking, instead of the left side of the house, we're looking at the left back side of the house.
So we're moving away from Maple?
We're moving away from Maple Avenue.
Okay, and you already talked about these three cars. Can you just remind us what these three cars are?
That white SUV, that's one of our vehicles. The blue SUV is one of my neighbor's vehicles, as well as the brown sedan as well, as we can see from this picture.
Do you know if any of those three vehicles sustained damage on November 21st?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled, he was asked if he knew, not what he heard.
Objection. Speculation.
Overruled.
From when we were looking back during that area, when we saw our neighbor's yard, when we saw everything, I couldn't really see like damage right away from any of our vehicles. However, it's not in this image. It's in the other image that I was shown earlier. There's a black SUV to the right of that brown sedan. That vehicle did have a little bit of a sort of some damage. What's it called? But apart from that, no, everything else was fine.
Let's move on to Exhibit 70, please.
Objection. What's the relevancy of this?
The exhibits have been received, so the state may question the witness on them.
What direction have we moved from the last picture to this picture?
We are now towards the back of my building or my house.
And did the person who took the picture, did we turn to the right or to the left or not at all?
We moved a little bit more towards the left, just getting a better angle of the back side of the house.
But now we're facing to the right?
Yeah, but now we're facing right.
I can rephrase.
Go ahead.
Do you know where Prospect is?
Prospect is it's a one-way street. You can't enter from Maple side, but you can enter from the back side of Prospect.
Do you see a street light in this photograph?
Yes.
What street is that street light on?
That's Prospect.
Okay.
The one-way street.
And the black SUV you talked about a moment ago, is that in this photograph?
Yeah, that SUV right there.
That's the SUV you described as having been damaged?
It was honestly not that much, just sort of kind of like the front of the SUV. There was a vehicle, however, if there was another image as well, looking at sort of the area, sort of the path that was between Deluxe's house and the backyard. That one did sustain some scratches.
If we go to the next photograph, Exhibit 71, please. Okay. See the street light again?
Yeah.
Is that the same street light we saw in Exhibit 70?
Objection. Answered that already. Same street light, same question, basically.
Different picture. Your objections noted. It's overruled. The witness may answer.
It is.
Do you see an orange cone in this photograph?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
I do.
What, if anything, do you see in the immediate vicinity of that orange cone?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
In that sort of area, I see the black SUV. Right in front of it, I see some of those stumps of logs that I mentioned before. One that we saw previously was in my driveway, but some of those were kind of left behind but moved from place, from their original spot. Yeah.
Can we zoom in on the middle of this photograph, please? Do you recognize an object within a few inches of that cone?
Objection.
Yeah.
Speculation.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
I do. Well, what's it called? I can see what it is, but I don't personally recognize it.
When you say you don't personally recognize it, what do you mean?
Leading. Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
I've never really seen it. It looks to be like a beanie, but I've never really seen it. Our family doesn't own it. We don't own it. It's
Okay.
not ours.
So you've never seen it in that backyard before?
No.
We zoom back out, please, and move to Exhibit 71. Excuse me, 72. These are the stumps you talked about earlier?
Yeah.
What direction is the photographer facing now?
Whereas we were facing sort of turning right, or I guess we were facing the left side of the building. Now we're facing the right side of the building, the same side that the video camera from Les Paul was facing in the previous video.
Okay, where's Prospect in relation to the photographer?
Prospect would be behind the photographer.
Okay. Is this what these stumps looked like earlier in the day on November 21st, before you saw the red SUV?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
They do not, no, or they did not. They were set in place on the ground, and they were sort of a little bit more together because they were like a seating area for my neighbors.
Okay. Let's move to Exhibit 73, please. The car part you referenced earlier, is that what we're looking at here?
Yes.
And to your recollection, was that car part in your neighbor's backyard before you saw the red SUV on November 21st?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
No. My neighbor's backyard is pretty well kept up. They have a really nice backyard, and they don't have any garbage, nothing in their backyard.
And we now go just for the witness, Exhibit 143. You recognize the vehicle in this photograph?
Yeah, this is the vehicle that I mentioned that sustained a little bit more damage, and it was like I mentioned before. It was through the pathway that sort of connected the Lox's house and sort of their collection of or sort of their parked vehicles as well.
And where in the vehicle do you see damage? The front, the back, both, or neither?
Leading. Objection.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
It is on the back side of the vehicle, towards the left, or towards the driver's side, back left.
Move Exhibits 143, 144, and 145 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection. Relevancy to this matter.
All right. The exhibits are received. That's 143, 144, 145. Permission to publish is granted.
Okay, we're looking at 143. This is the vehicle you described?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we've got it up on the jury screens too. Now we'll take a look at 144, please. This is the front of that same vehicle.
Objection. Relevancy to this matter.
Overruled. The exhibits have been received.
It is now. This is the front part of the vehicle, driver's side still, closest to the house.
145, please. The balcony on the left, that's your next door neighbor's house?
Yes, and then to the right of it is one of their vehicles, and to the left is their balcony. We can still see it in a previous image that's facing Prospect as well.
Okay. And this is the same, this Infinity we see in this photograph, that's the same vehicle we saw in the last two photographs?
Objection. Lead.
Overruled. You may answer.
It is, yes.
Prospect is where in relation to the photographer?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
The photographer, prospect is to the back of the photographer.
So if you were to drive a vehicle between that porch and that Infinity vehicle, straight through that alley that we're looking at right now, you would be driving toward or away from your house?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
If you're driving in between, if you're driving away from prospect, in between the balcony, in between the SUV, heading that way, where the camera is facing, you'd be heading towards our backyard, our driveway, or the backside of our driveway.
All right, thank you. That's all I have for this witness.
Thank you. Any cross?
Yep. So seeing the damage to the SUV that was parked in your driveway, it would be fair to say that the hood was pretty jacked up. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. If we're talking about the red SUV,
The vehicle in your driveway.
there's multiple vehicles in my driveway.
The one that's specifically in your driveway in 68, exhibit 68.
We can put that up.
Where is it? 68.
You see on your screen, Mr. Brooks?
Yeah,
Is that the
yes.
one you want him to talk about?
Yes.
Go
yes,
ahead.
yes.
68 is published.
And for the record, I do not identify by that name or consent to being called it. For the record, my name is Darrell Brooks Jr. Can you see it on your screen?
Yeah, the image I can see two SUVs, our white SUV and then the red SUV that I mentioned is that's pretty well beat up.
It's fair to say that hood is pretty beat up.
You can say it, yeah.
And you said you observed the driver of that vehicle jump over the hood?
I wouldn't say necessarily jump over the hood. Like I said, sort of jumping over the hood. You can say like kind of like leaving, kind of going, sort of. It's a little bit hard to explain, but not necessarily sliding over the hood. Sort of going in front of the vehicle, sort of evading it.
So what would you characterize as a jump?
As a jump, I guess you can say, definition-wise, jumping is just jumping up and down, but colloquially, I guess we can say jumping over the hood of the car. It could be sort of evading the vehicle, going away from it, staying close to it, but sort of still being able to move in a quick fashion.
So would it be safe to say evading the vehicle? Well, let me back up. What do you mean by evading? Would that be trying to distance themselves from the vehicle, or what would you define as evading?
Evading would be sort of trying to get away. So if you have a certain path, you can try to move to the side, step aside, kind of jump over it, I guess you can say. And from the image, we can see that the damage not only is attached to the vehicle, but there's some damage that's sort of spread out from the vehicle as well. So jumping over it, stepping to the side of it, sort of falls within that same definition of jumping over a car, sort of evading it.
So that falls in with your definition of jumped over the hood would mean. Would that be fair to say?
You can say.
And you said at one point when observing this, you closed the blinds at one point?
Yeah, our blinds they were closed. We really don't have like anything to look at apart from the building, apart from our driveway. So when I heard the vehicle, or when I heard, obviously I wasn't really sure if it was a vehicle. when I heard the big scratch, sort of a halt, a scratch. As I looked out, as I peeped over the blinds, I was able to see the vehicle, and I was able to see the person sort of evading, jumping over the car, going away from the car.
You said you heard a scratch. What would you define that as?
Obviously not a scratch that you can say, maybe not like a chalkboard one, but sort of if you can hear maybe like metal or maybe something on concrete. I guess you can define it as a scrape, I guess you can say a little bit better.
Was it a loud crash?
You couldn't really say it was a crash. You can hear the sound that I heard. I defined it as a scratch, or I guess you can say a scrape, because it was.
I'm sorry, you can continue.
Because it was more. It was a little bit longer than just kind of like a big crash and it ended. You can hear something scraping.
So like a scrape.
Yeah.
But not a loud like bang.
Not necessarily, no.
And how long would you estimate you were observing before you closed the blinds?
I would say I would give it like a good 6 seconds. I would say 5 seconds. Yeah, it wasn't that long because, like I mentioned, I thought it was somebody from downstairs. I wasn't really. I was more concerned about what happened in our driveway, just because I wasn't really sure what was going on.
Did anything get damaged in your driveway?
In our driveway, there was, I guess you can say, damage in however you may define it, like that log that we can see in the image was sort of dragged into our driveway. There was oil left in our driveway. There was debris left in our driveway as well. And if you could sort of count our backyard was pretty well beat up, sort of like you can see with our neighbor's backyard. The grass was sort of kind of beat up. Nobody really drives vehicles through that area, so it's pretty well kept.
So it's more like oil, logs, pieces of wood, that sort of thing?
Yeah, things were out of place from when we usually look at our backyard, or how it was that morning.
And you stated that you can tell the general direction of Maple Street from your window, but you can't actually see it?
Yeah.
So that'd be fair to say?
Yeah, because I know where my house is located, and I know what street it's facing, and I know what street or what is to the left of my house, and I know what's to the right of my house, so I know what general directions are around my house.
So if leaving your driveway, going towards Maple Street, if someone were to go right or left, at that point you wouldn't be able to tell?
If we're speaking specifically from my driveway, if you're heading left away from my driveway, not towards the garage or towards that sort of garage area, if you're heading left, you are heading towards Maple Avenue. There's no other way from it.
And once coming from your driveway, if someone was headed that way, once they got to Maple, would you be able to see them at that point?
Not on Maple Street, no. Like I said, I know where the general direction as to where Maple is, but I can't really directly see Maple Avenue from the window that I was at. The window that's to the left of my window is sort of closer to that street, but I wasn't there.
And you didn't get a description of the driver?
What was the question? Sorry.
You didn't get a description of the driver?
Of the driver? Yeah. When we were questioned, or when I was questioned by the detectives that visited us, I remember giving a good description of the driver. I said that he had a hoodie on. I remember mentioning that it was either a light gray, a white. Like I mentioned before, since it happened in a flash, some of the white that I saw was part of that scarf that you can see on top of the hood. And in a previous image, we can see something hanging from the side view mirror, which is also a white, I guess you can say a white accessory that has sort of like a light colored band. And so at the moment, those are some of the colors that popped up during my recollection when the detective showed up. And I could describe the driver as being very able to run, move from the vehicle. I was pretty sure as to it being not someone very young, maybe not an older individual, sort of physically capable of being able to run away and sort of still present within the moment of realizing what happened and sort of leaving the situation.
And you made that determination just by 5 or 6 seconds of observation out of your window?
Yeah.
You testified earlier that you saw someone, but you didn't see him face to face. That'd be fair to say?
Yeah.
And the logs that ended up in your yard, you stated that they came from your neighbor's yard. Would that be fair to say?
Correct.
Do you know what they used those logs for?
That they were sort of placed around. They have a few decorations around their yard. They have a fireplace. They have some seating areas. Those logs were sort of just there to sort of sit down because they're little stumpy logs. They had some sort of, as you can see from the image, they're sort of put together by some metal band. So they're not really just there for use, but more they were just kind of put there for them to sit around.
So pretty much just, if they're out there in the yard, they may use them to sit on, some of that nature.
Correct, yeah.
You recall how many logs were out there?
Not necessarily. I can say maybe 4 or 3. I knew they were there, but I couldn't really tell you the exact number. But I have a general idea of what's in their yard.
And you stated at some point you and friends or family member, I'm not sure which one you said, but y'all kind of gathered around the vehicle at some point?
Yeah. When I was the first one to head on down because I was the first one to see sort of the vehicle. When I went out, I tried contacting my neighbors from downstairs. They tried investigating, like if anybody had a red car, a red SUV, or anything, and he came back to me and said no. And I told him that there's a vehicle in our driveway, and so everybody came out. Everybody was sort of looking at the vehicle, and everybody was pretty confused because nobody recognized it as theirs or anybody they knew.
So what did you guys do from that point after coming out and kind of all collectively observing the vehicle? What did you do from that point?
As soon as that happened, not that long away, we contacted the police because we were concerned of like sort of the vehicle as to why it was left there or who left the vehicle there. And so when we started seeing people leaving or heading down from Maple Avenue away from downtown Waukesha, we started kind of maybe speculating that it was probably involved in because everybody knew that there was a parade going on, and we started maybe recollecting that maybe it was part of the parade or maybe something happened, especially because when we were looking at people leaving the parade, some of them looked scared, some of them were kind of walking faster than usual. some running. We were a little bit concerned. We were just trying to figure out what was going on.
So it'd be fair to say at that point it was just confusion, no knowledge of anything happening at that point.
Since we weren't at the parade, no. At that moment, we just saw a vehicle in our driveway, and we were trying to figure out what was going on.
Do you recall what you were doing right when you looked out the blinds? Like, what were you doing leading up to hearing the scrape and then looking out the blinds?
Like I said, since I was, when I explained first when I heard the vehicle in the first questioning, I mentioned that I was just kind of sitting down. We have a chair, or not a chair, but we have kind of like a recliner couch, and I was just kind of just having a regular afternoon. And since I'm right by the window, as soon as I heard something, I was able to try to investigate what was that noise, or what that noise was.
And at the point that you called law enforcement, do you recall how long before law enforcement came to the scene?
I personally didn't call law enforcement. Like I said, our neighbors called law enforcement. So I couldn't really say an exact time, but they were there fairly quickly. And as soon as they arrived, we were just told to get inside, back in the building.
I'm sorry, can you clear the exhibit? I forgot it was.
It happens.
I forgot it
It's
was.
late.
Do you recall who took the photographs?
The photographs, no.
Were they part of the collective group that all kind of met up to figure out what was going on with the vehicle?
Nobody was actually taking photographs during that time. They were, the neighbors downstairs were, sort of, what's it called? They were just kind of inside the building, and as soon as I left the building, we were just kind of looking at it, and we were trying to figure out what was going on. At the moment, we were just trying to see if we can get help, because we weren't really sure what was going on. So
the photographs that you saw on the exhibits today, was this your first time seeing those photographs?
The photographs specifically, yes, but the vehicle and the whole scenery, no.
No, just the photographs. Was what you saw today, was that your first time seeing those photographs?
These photographs?
Yes.
No.
So you've seen them before today?
Like I said, I was able to see sort of the what's it called? The whole situation, and I was able to sort of, be aware of what was going on.
I'm asking specifically about the exhibits, the photos. Had you seen those before today?
Before today, yes.
And do you recall who showed them to you?
It was mostly just detectives trying to figure out what was going on, sort of that line of questioning that I went through.
And you did say you don't know who took the photographs. Do you recall if the law enforcement that came to the scene took the photos?
When we were asked to go back inside, yeah. When they were trying to investigate what was going on, there was investigators taking photographs and people trying to figure out what was going on.
So to the best of your knowledge, you do know who took the photographs?
Not personally, no. There was people taking photographs, but...
So multiple officers?
Yes.
And that night of the incident, when the vehicle was found and the law enforcement officers were taking the photos, did you see the photos at that time?
No.
And would it be fair to say that you were subpoenaed to come and testify today?
I was subpoenaed to come testify.
Do you recall by whom?
By what would you say? Just by this, not the state, but the city of Waukesha, or the town of Waukesha.
district attorney's office, an officer, or?
Just when I received the subpoena letter, it was just from Waukesha. What's it called? Not really. I don't recall any name specifically on the letter, but I just remembered I was being subpoenaed by the city of Waukesha.
Do you recall when you received that subpoena?
Maybe about maybe like a month before, or maybe 2 months before this happened, or before
before today. You mean?
I wouldn't say exactly before today, but maybe before the trial, sometime in August.
The neighbor who's, as we saw in the photos in the exhibit, there was a neighbor whose car had scrapes. Do you recall if they filed any claim in regards to the scrapes?
In regards to the scrapes, no, just because they weren't actually there. I think they were actually at the parade, and since all of Maple was kind of shut down as soon as the police showed up, I think they had trouble getting in or getting to their house. So they got there late as soon as everything was cleared up. And the day after, they were able to see the damage to their vehicle, and they were able to sort of, after that whole situation, they sort of knew what had happened, and they probably figured that the damage that was caused was probably from the vehicle that was in the parade. So I don't think filing a claim was probably their main concern at the moment, because, yeah.
Do you recall having any conversations with the owner of the vehicle at some point? Maybe they may have wanted to ask if anyone heard what had transpired. Do you recall having any conversations with him about what happened that night?
Objection. Hearsay.
Grounds.
Well, the way that he asked it is just, did they have conversations? I'll let the witness answer that specific question without disclosing the content first. Did you have any conversations?
After, it was the day after the incident that I talked to the neighbor.
Was anyone else present in your home the night of the incident that may have seen anything to your recollection?
Not necessarily. Like I said, our neighbors were downstairs, and I had to contact them to let them know what was going on. I told, like I said, my little brother was there, but he has autism, so he's in his own world. And my mom was also in the building, and then she was sort of confused as to what was going on, because I had to go tell her, like, hey, like, someone caused damage to our cars, like, let's go see what happened. And what's it called? As soon as I did that, everybody was aware. But yeah.
Was your family vehicles damaged?
Our vehicles, no.
After you contacted your neighbors who were downstairs, do you recall anyone telling you that their vehicles may have been damaged in any way?
At the moment of the incident?
Yes.
No, they were all, at the moment of the incident, like I said, we were all sort of looking at the vehicle, and we were sort of walking around. There was a select few of us that went back, and then we were sort of seeing some of the damage that was made to the yard, and what's it called? We, as soon as they were calling the cops, none of them really, said that they had like damage to their car. I could see part of the black SUV that was sort of a little bit touched up, but it wasn't as bad as the Infiniti that was in my neighbor's house.
You just said victim help. Can you explain what victim help is?
Well, I couldn't really specify what it is, because I really never reached out. But we were reached out by I don't know if they were in an organization or just help from the county for people that suffered from the parade. And we were also reached out because we were involved in the situation, just because our house was sort of in the whole mess, and
Right, with the
we sort of
vehicle being found in your driveway.
we were sort of pretty shaken up about the situation too. So when we talked to detectives, we were all pretty shaken up. I was pretty shaken up, sort of scared, sort of frustrated too.
So, why didn't you follow up with victim care if you had, a few concerns after the incident? What prompted you not to follow up with victim care?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
On relevance grounds, I'll sustain the objection.
And are you aware who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Yes.
And who would the plaintiff be?
Plaintiff being sort of, or I guess you can say the defendant, Darrell Brooks.
The defendant would be the plaintiff?
Or not the defendant, but a plaintiff, or I guess, what's it called? Could you kind of sort of
The plaintiff would be who is actually bringing the claim.
Oh, the plaintiff bringing the claim?
Who's bringing the claim would be the plaintiff.
That would be this city of Waukesha, sorry.
The city of Waukesha?
I'm confused by the questioning, if I'm going to be completely honest.
And I'll object and move to
strike
strike
the
the line of questioning for relevance.
Grounds
Well-
answered.
He answered at my stand. Next question, please.
And you stated that at that time you didn't, there was confusion about what was going on. So just so we're clear, you at that time you didn't learn any information about what had transpired at the parade at that time.
At that time, specifically, can you specify what time?
At the time that you observed the vehicle in your driveway and then had the initial, I guess, friends and family kind of like.
Oh, during that time window?
During that time, yeah.
During that time window, like you mentioned, as soon as I witnessed the vehicle, I had no idea what was going on in my driveway or what led to that vehicle being left in my driveway. And like I mentioned before, as soon as we being our neighbors from downstairs and my mom, we all went downstairs and we kind of looked at the vehicle, and then we started realizing what was going on as soon as we saw people leaving the parade, leaving away from downtown Waukesha, and we were able to sort of figure out what was going on, but not necessarily like exactly what happened.
And you stated you saw people running from the downtown area or from the other way. I can't remember which one you said, but you said you saw it was kind of like people were kind of all over the place.
Not necessarily all over the place, I would say. There was a cohesion as to the direction that people were leaving or heading towards. It looked like people were heading towards, not towards, but more away from downtown Waukesha. So
you said like a library coming from the way of a library or something?
The library is closest to the downtown Waukesha area, so they were heading away from that sort of general direction.
You made a reference to they was going towards the direction where train tracks were?
Yeah, so that'd be going away from Waukesha or downtown Waukesha.
Do you recall do you recall how many people it were? Was it a lot of people? Was it?
There was quite a bit of people, yeah. It wasn't just one person, two people. There was people. There was some people carrying their children. Some other people kind of with strollers and stuff.
So generally, like a crowd.
I guess you can say, but they were all sort of still in the street, sort of still walking with all their belongings. Yeah.
Did any one of them mention what had happened at that time that you recall? Grounds. Grounds.
It does call for hearsay. Do you want to ask him that? You just want to know if he talked to them?
I was asking, did he, to his recollection, did any one of the people that was moving away from the area, did they say anything that he recalls?
Calls for hearsay. Do you want someone to sustain the objection?
You could sustain.
Okay.
And that'd do it. No more questions.
Okay, thank you. Any redirect?
Very, very briefly, Your Honor. Could we please put up exhibit number 66, which has previously been published? I asked to publish it again.
Go ahead.
And while we're waiting for that to come up on the jury monitors, I'll ask Mr. Arashiga, from the moment you arrived downstairs and saw the vehicle in your driveway until the moment that the police arrived, were you standing near the vehicle that whole time?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
So when the officers arrived, the first responders, I guess you can say, when they first arrived, we were not necessarily like right by the vehicle, but we were sort of in that general area, right by the balcony area. And as soon as they showed up, we were told to just get back inside. So we just walked back inside the building. But yeah, we weren't really right on top of it. We were just kind of by that area.
When you say balcony, you're referring to the front balcony closest to Maple?
Sustained as to the form of the question.
When you say balcony, what balcony are you referring to?
I guess I say balcony, but more like porch. In a previous photograph, or in another photograph, we were able to see some chairs in that porch area, and that's sort of kind of where everybody was hanging around. And as soon as the cops showed up, they told us to get back inside.
So you're talking about the backyard.
Objection, leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
What yard are you talking about?
The yard that we were hanging around.
Yes.
That would be sort of the front yard, when the first responders showed up. Because as soon as they showed up, they told us to get back inside, and we went back inside right away.
From the moment you got downstairs until the moment the first responders arrived, did you see anybody else walk up to the vehicle?
Objection.
Aside from your group.
Objection.
Just hold on a second. We have
There's
to
an
address it.
objection.
Speculation.
Overruled. He may answer.
Sorry. So on the vehicle. Sorry, can you repeat the question? I forgot about it. I'm sorry.
Aside from the people in your group, the people you knew, from the moment you got downstairs and saw the SUV in your driveway until the moment that the first responders arrived, did you see anybody else walk up to the vehicle?
Objection. Speculation.
Overruled. He may answer. Excuse me.
So between that time, no, nobody else approached the vehicle. All the people that were around that area were people that were with my neighbors, and then just me and my mom as well. Nobody else walking from the parade.
Can we zoom in on the house and exhibit number 66, please?
Objection, relevancy.
It's previously been admitted.
Do you see the window that you were looking out of on the second floor in this picture?
Yes.
Can you circle it for us?
It'd be right about here, or yeah.
Can we please preserve that annotation, mark it as 66A, and I'd move that into evidence?
Objection. What's the relevancy?
Your objection's noted. 66A is received.
No, I have nothing else. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Sir, you may step down. Was he on your list of subpoenas?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Okay, then he may be dismissed. Or excused, sorry. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have the instruction once again to read to you. Please do not begin your deliberations and discussion of the case until all the evidence is presented, and I have instructed you on the law. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else. If jurors do not comply with these rules, it could result in a new trial involving additional time and significant expense to the parties and the taxpayers. You are to decide the case solely on the evidence offered and received at trial. With that, you are excused for the weekend. We will see you Monday morning at 8:30. All rise for the jury. All right, I'll see everyone on Monday morning at 8:30. We are in recess. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Good morning. Oh, it's chilly in here. It's probably they adjusted it. We'll need to call them and tell them to bump it up a little. Now that the weather changed. Better with the people coming? No, it's. I would find out what the temperature set at. It's cold. It's definitely like an ice box in here. All right, good morning, everyone. Court will call State of Wisconsin versus Darrell Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848. May I have the appearances, please?
Yes, good morning, Judge Sue Upper, Leslie Basie, and Zach Witchell appearing for the State of Wisconsin.
Good morning, sir. Your name for the record, please.
I'm here as a third-party intervener in that matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client. I accept for value and return for value all of the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments.
All right, the record should reflect that the individual known to this court as Darrell Brooks is present in person in custody in street clothes. He is wearing a suit, I believe a tie, can't quite see around the monitor, and a mask.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Darrell Brooks, Jr.
Your objections noted for the record. The appearance, as I've just indicated, stands. I do want to advise the parties today that one of the jurors called in this morning and was not feeling well, and I did excuse that juror. So that will mean at the appropriate time, when the court selects the alternates by random lot, I will only be selecting 3. I believe that was juror number 35. All right. Anything preliminary before the jury's brought out for the continuation of testimony from the state?
Is the audio on, Your Honor?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Sorry about that.
The only thing, housekeeping to clean up, Your Honor, is Exhibit 15, which was the victim map that we had first introduced through Detective Casey, and you admitted it subject to proof of all of the events that are depicted on the map. We believe we have now reached that point where it can be admitted in full. I do have a poster-sized copy of that exhibit that's also marked as Exhibit 15. So we have Exhibit 1 is the map of the downtown area. Exhibit 15 is the what we have termed the victim map, or the parade victim map. That's a hard copy of that as well, and then I have a third one that I'll be introducing later today or tomorrow. But we just wanted to clear up on 15 that all of the information on that map has now been testified to, Your Honor.
I did admit it subject to the full foundation. Any position on that, sir?
To it being admitted.
Yes, fully received. I had received it subject to foundation, and the state's set forth its position. Do you have any position on that?
Yeah, I object to it. I don't see the relevancy.
All right, your objection is noted, and Exhibit 15 is received. I believe I told the jury it was received subject to that foundation, but I will advise them that it's been received by the court when they come out today.
All right, and then one other housekeeping matter. Last week, I believe it may have even been on Thursday, we had a discussion with Mr. Brooks outside the presence of the jury in which several broad topics were discussed. One of them was Mr. Brooks had indicated he did not have a pretrial offer from the state. We would ask the record to reflect that afternoon we did provide him again with a written copy of our pretrial offer, and that was placed with his materials on the table. I just wanted that in the record, please.
I object to that. I don't. If it was with my paperwork, I haven't seen it.
It was specifically one of the papers, sir, that you left in the bullpen area that on the next morning, on Friday morning, I made a record of providing back to you. So it was provided to you twice.
Well, I haven't seen it.
You want to put the offer on the record, Attorney Opera?
Give me 1 second, Your Honor.
So what's the significance of it being on the record? If
So that you are fully aware of it, sir. It was provided to you, but you're indicating you haven't read it, so I want them to make a record of it. The significance would be, I suppose, if at any point you wanted to change your plea, you could do that based upon the pretrial offer.
Well, in any event, I accept for value and return for value that document whenever I see it.
Attorney Opera, go ahead.
Sorry, it's just taking me a second to retrieve it here, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this would be a perfect time to address the subject matter jurisdiction that has yet to be proven on the record and must be
Mr.
proven
Brooks,
by the prosecution.
we are not going to address that. I issued a written decision last week. If you disagree with that, then you can take that up to a higher court. But I issued a written decision. I'm not addressing that any further.
It has yet to be proven on record.
Mr. Brooks, my written decision is the decision of this court.
Has it
Attorney
been proven?
Opera, go ahead.
Has it been proven on record that you have subject matter jurisdiction? Because it has yet to be proven.
Mr. Brooks, your position is simply not correct as a matter of law. I explained that.
Then prove it
and
lawfully
I issued
by
the
law.
decision. You might be confusing subject matter jurisdiction with venue, which is why I commented on that last week.
Absolutely
and
not.
There has been evidence received regarding venue. So I'm going to turn back to Attorney Opera.
has nothing
She's
to
going
do
to make
with
a
venue,
record of
Your
the
Honor.
pretrial offer. I'd ask that you not interrupt. Thank you.
Your Honor, the offer that was dated July 5 of 2022 reads as follows. Plead to counts 1 through 67 in the information. The penalty enhancers on all counts will be struck. Counts 68 to 83 will be dismissed and read in. The state will recommend 6 consecutive life sentences on counts 1 through 6. The state will recommend unspecified prison on all other counts. The defense is free to argue. This pretrial offer was conveyed to his prior counsel on or about the July 5th date, and there in fact had been a earlier offer as well that had been relayed prior to the preliminary hearing or the filing of the information back in January of 2022 that had also been conveyed to his defense counsel at the time.
All right, thank you.
So why haven't I been informed of that?
All right, Mr. Brooks, that is not a topic we are going to take up any further. I just wanted the record to reflect that that offer was conveyed to you.
It wasn't conveyed to me, Your Honor. This is the first time I'm hearing of it. So if it was conveyed to my former counsel,
It's not something I'm going to further address, sir, unless you indicate to me that you would like to take advantage of the pretrial offer by changing your pleas to either guilty or no contest to counts 1 through 67 and submit the appropriate paperwork. I'm guessing that's not what you want to do. So unless that paperwork were to be filed, then I'm going to continue with this trial as if you are exercising your right to a trial in this matter.
and in all respect, Your Honor, I don't think it's fair that you should assume what I want to do or not, or what I don't want to do.
I just need to make a record that that paperwork was provided, sir. We'll continue with the testimony today. I'm not going to take up subject matter jurisdiction. I've issued a written decision. Is there any other preliminary topic from either party?
Is that decision verified proof that subject matter jurisdiction exists? Because it has yet to be proven on the record.
All right, your objection is noted. Please bring the jury up.
Your Honor, is that the answer?
Mr. Brooks, I issued a written decision. That's your answer.
And what's that? And what does the written decision entail?
So that was provided to you last week. I'm not going to
I
go
accept
through
for
it
value
again.
in return for value the document that I have not seen. What does it entail, Your Honor?
Sir, you were provided with a written copy. I'm not going to read it into the record at this point. It is part of the record. It's a final order
If
for
it's
purposes
part of the record,
appeal.
why can't it be read into the record right now?
It doesn't need to be read into the record, sir.
Is it
It's
verified
part of
proof
the
of?
record.
Is it verified proof of subject matter?
Mr. Brooks, I'm not answering that because it's not something that needs to be verified.
It has to be verified by the prosecution. Or is that a tacit agreement that you don't have to answer that question or verify proof of subject matter
Sir,
jurisdiction?
I have no such agreement with you, tacit or otherwise. So that's not how this operates. Again, just
So
because
would
you
it be
believe
proven?
the law requires, that doesn't make it true. All right, the jury's
Show me
coming out.
lawfully
All
law.
rise for the jury, please.
Show me by lawfully law that you have subject matter jurisdiction because it hasn't been proven on the record. It has yet to be proven for the record. Let the record reflect that.
The record will not reflect that, and the jury will disregard the comments currently being made.
The record
just
should
made by
reflect that.
Mr. Brooks.
You have to put it on the record. Otherwise, that'd be tampering with the record. So at 8:40,
All right. Good morning, everyone. Please be seated.
tacit agreement at 8:40.
All right. Please disregard the most recent comment by
Tacit
Mr.
agreement
Brooks.
at
It's not
8:40.
evidence in this proceeding. All right. The statement call its next witness.
Thank you, Judge. The state calls Sean Backler.
Subject matter jurisdiction
Jury will disregard that last statement by Mr. Brooks.
has to be on the record.
Good morning, sir. Please make your way to the witness stand, which is all the way up by me, to my right. When you get there, please remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in. There is one riser, so just be mindful of that.
Sean Backler, S-E-A-N, last name B-A-C-K-L-E-R.
All right, go ahead. Your witness.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Backler.
Hi.
Sir, on November 21 of 2021, where did you live?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
409 Central Avenue, Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Okay, if you could just keep your voice up a little bit, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's maybe better if you scoot a little closer to the microphone. Okay, 409 Central Avenue, and that's in the city of Waukesha?
Correct.
Okay. Around the time of 4:49 p.m. on that afternoon of November 21, where were you?
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
I was outside working around the yard, had my garage open.
Okay. Were you aware that the annual Christmas parade was going on that afternoon?
I was aware of it, yes.
Did you attend the parade, sir?
No, I did
Objection,
not.
relevancy.
Okay.
Overruled.
Around 4:49 p.m., what happened, sir?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
I heard some noise around on the east side of my garage, and I went to see what was going on, and I found the defendant on the side of my garage. I asked him, what in the effing hell is he doing?
Okay, so let's slow down a little bit. You heard a noise and you went to explore it, correct?
Correct.
And you saw a person there?
Yes, I did.
And you questioned that person for being there, is that right?
Objection, leading the witness.
Foundational, Your Honor.
It's just overruled. You can answer. I'm not sure if you did or not.
I asked him what he was doing there.
Okay. And maybe you were cursing at him? Is that what you're suggesting?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Overruled.
I think I dropped an F-bomb on him.
Why?
Objection.
He's trespassing.
Okay. The person that
There
you
was an objection, but it's overruled.
the person that you saw, can you give us a description of that person, please?
When I called it in on the non-emergency line at the Waukesha Police Department, I described him at about 5'8", probably weighed about 150 pounds. He was either black, mixed, or Latino male, wearing a red shirt, jeans, long hair, beard, and I think he was missing his shoes.
Okay. You said red top?
Red shirt.
Objection. Leading the witness.
Red shirt. What kind of shirt?
Overruled, and his answer may stand.
He was wearing a red chino.
If there is an objection, please just wait until I rule on it first by saying either overruled or sustained, and I'll let you know if you can answer the question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I believe it was a red T-shirt.
Okay. To your way of thinking, was he dressed appropriately for the weather?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Overruled. You may answer.
Relevancy. Objection.
Overruled.
Immediately, it just seemed off because he was wearing a T-shirt. If I remember correctly, he was not wearing shoes. It was very cold out. He was sweating. His eyes were huge, and he was just acting. When he came out from the garage, he was asking if I could call him an Uber.
Okay. So you spoke with him a little bit?
Objection. Leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Very shortly.
I have to ask him
She
the
needs to
question.
rephrase her question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Did you speak with him?
A little bit.
Okay. What do you remember him saying?
He kept asking if I could call him an Uber, and then he said I need to get home.
Did you agree to call an Uber for him?
No, I said he needed to leave my yard.
Okay. And did he comply with that?
Yeah, he did. He just kept asking if I could call him an Uber, or if he could use my phone. And I said, you just need to leave. And
The person that you're describing for us, sir, do you see him present in the courtroom here?
he's sitting over there with the mask on and in the suit.
Okay, I'm going to ask the defendant be instructed to remove the mask.
Mr. Brooks, please remove your mask.
And if he would look at the witness, please, Your Honor, with his head down, it's not to assist.
All right, Mr. Brooks, please look up and look at the witness. Look at the witness, please. Thank you.
Is that the man that you're describing that was in your backyard that you spoke to?
Objection.
Yes.
Leading.
Overruled.
I want to show you a photograph. It's going to come up on that screen there next to you, okay? Just let me know when it's up. The system takes a minute to warm up, especially first thing in the morning. Is it up?
Yep, it is.
Okay. Do you see this photograph, sir?
Objection.
And
Overruled.
Yes.
I'd like you, is there a person shown in the photograph?
It's the
Objection.
defendant.
Leading.
Overruled. It's not leading. You may answer.
It's the defendant.
Is this consistent with his appearance when he presented himself to you on your driveway that evening or backyard garage area?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
It is consistent.
Okay. Move to admit and permission to publish 171, Your Honor.
Objection. Relevancy.
Your objection is overruled. Exhibit 171 is received. Permission to publish is granted. The jurors will also let us know when the image is projected in the jury box.
And sir, it's a little hard to tell in the photograph, but was the t-shirt he was wearing a short sleeve or long sleeve, if you remember?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
It was a short sleeve shirt.
Okay. Ultimately, did he leave your property?
Objection, accident, answer.
Overruled. You may answer.
When he was leaving, he was kind of taking his time, and then I told him he needs to leave again, and started walking towards him as he was leaving, and he lifted his shirt up and said he was unarmed.
Okay. Had you asked him about any weapons?
I had
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
I had not asked.
When he left your property, did you see which direction he headed?
He was going northwest.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
All right, sir. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do, and I object to being called that name for the record.
What is your name?
Brooks.
First name?
Do you recall giving a statement to Officer Probst?
I don't know his name, but I've talked to an officer.
And you did talk to an officer that night?
I talked to an officer on the phone. I did not talk to an officer that night. I mean, on the phone I did, but not in person.
So it was a conversation on the non-emergency line. Would that be fair to say?
It was on the non-emergency line. I actually confirmed it after I called to make sure I was on the non-emergency line.
Do you recall the description that you gave at that time?
I do. Well, my best of my knowledge was that you were either black, Latino,
Who's you?
or mixed.
Who is you?
Hold on, you have to let him answer the question first before you interrupt him with another one. Go ahead with the description you provided that night.
I said that the individual was either black, mixed, or Latino.
So it would be fair to say you didn't know at the time?
I was giving a general description.
So it would be fair to say that you weren't sure?
I was positive it was you.
Who is you?
You. I'm looking at you.
And how did you come to that conclusion, the you conclusion?
I'm looking at you.
How did you come to that conclusion? Did you?
What conclusion? Can you restate the question?
You're saying that you gave a description on the non-emergency phone line, correct?
It was on a non-emergency line.
So it would be fair to say at that time you had no name or knowledge of who the person was in your backyard. Would that be fair to say?
I had no idea who you were.
And so how can you say how can you say you then if you had no idea?
I'm looking at you. You were the guy.
And how did you come to that conclusion?
You and I were standing in the same yard looking at each other.
So is it possible you saw something on the news?
No, I had no idea who you were.
Interesting. Do you recall giving a description of approximately 5'9" and 160 pounds?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, or would that be accurate?
I didn't have a tape measure out. It was just a guesstimate.
Would it be fair to say that since you keep identifying me as you, would it be fair to say that I'm not 5'9" nor 160 pounds?
You have your shoes on or off right now?
Would it be fair to say that I'm not 5'9", 160 pounds?
If you take your shoes off and step out of them, they could have a better.
I'm not going to have them do that, but if you're able to answer the question, do you agree?
I'd have to be standing next to him. That's what I made my judgment from. We were about 2 feet from each other.
Does it look like I'm 5'9"?
I don't know. We were a lot closer.
Does it look like I'm 160 pounds?
Objection.
Grounds.
It's irrelevant as to his appearance today, just like his hair isn't in dreadlocks today.
Sustained.
Objection.
Question.
Grounds for the sustain.
Next question, please.
You also said that, well, the narrative in the report said that the individual was later identified. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that'd be fair to say.
And so would it also be fair to say that because the individual was identified later, that's how you came to the conclusion of who it may have been in your yard?
Objection, I think that's
Grounds.
a statement, Your Honor. He's, again, reading a police report,
That's a question.
not authored by this witness. It's beyond the scope of the witness's knowledge.
It's actually the report that he
Mr.
gave.
Brooks, I've heard enough. If the objection is sustained, you may rephrase your question.
Did you follow the investigation after you had given the report on the non-emergency line?
It's kind of hard not to see it on TV. Can I clarify something? Or?
There's not a question just
Oh,
yet,
okay.
so
All right.
the state will have an opportunity to redirect if they deem it appropriate.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you made reference to it was kind of hard not to see it on the news. Would that be fair to say?
It was all over the news.
And would it be fair to say that from those news reports you gained additional information that you didn't have that night?
Actually, what I did is went into work the next morning and pulled up the police report on the internet, and there you were in a mugshot. And I'm like, that's the guy.
So you got a further description from a mugshot?
No, I didn't get a further description. At the time, I didn't care who you were when you were in my yard. I didn't know who you were, what you had done, where you had been, any of that stuff. So all I'm saying is you were trespassing in my yard at that time. And that's all I can say. Other than that, that's all I can confirm. I don't know what you did. I don't know where you were. I don't know any of the other stuff. All I know is you were the guy in my yard.
The guy that you said was 5'9", 160 pounds.
Objection, argumentative,
Grounds.
asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question, you don't have to answer that.
And what prompted you to read or pull up the police report?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds. He said it. He brought it out there.
Overruled, he may answer.
I was curious of actually who you were. And if you were the person that actually had done the atrocities that were on television.
And what prompted the curiosity?
A stranger was in my yard, unannounced, trespassing, asked him to leave, and they ended up catching somebody for doing something very bad, and I was wondering if that was the individual that had cut through my yard.
So it'd be fair to say at the time you wasn't privy to that knowledge yet. Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
At the time you pulled up the police report, as you say, you had no knowledge of the identity of the individual.
I didn't know that you were going to be the person that had done that.
You keep referring to the you.
You. I'm looking into your eyes right now. You're the guy I'm talking about when I refer to you.
And the record should reflect that the witness used his right hand and index finger to point directly at the defendant. Next question, please.
So you just made reference to looking the you in the eyes, but you would need...
What would you prefer I call you?
You would need...
Because you're not going by Darrell Brooks.
You would need me to step out of my shoes to tell my height and weight, right?
I'd have to also stand 2 feet from you.
Hold on, please. Mr. Brooks, you're directed under 90611 to ask a question and not argue with the witness.
That
Thank
was
you.
a question.
It was argumentative. Please rephrase your question, and then the witness is instructed to wait until a question is asked, and if there's any objection, then I rule on it first. Go ahead, next question.
It sounds like he the one arguing.
Jury will disregard that last comment. Mr. Brooks, you're not testifying right now. You'll have an opportunity if you so choose to do that later. Please ask a question.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. Reason why you didn't give a written statement to law enforcement?
Objection, argumentative,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
How's it argumentative?
Sustained. As to the form of the question. Next question, please.
Did you at any time give a written statement to law enforcement?
I don't believe so.
Any reason why not?
Objection,
Grounds.
argumentative, and irrelevant.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain.
Mr. Brooks, please ask your next question.
Grounds for the sustain. You said you pulled up the police report at work the next day, right?
No, I pulled up your mugshot.
Well, you did say police report. Would that be fair to say?
You can answer that.
I just pulled up a mugshot.
You don't recall saying that you pulled up the police report specifically?
Actually, what I did is went into work the next morning and pulled up the police report. I specifically wanted to pull up the picture of the person that had committed those atrocities to see if that was the person that had cut through my yard, which confirmed it was.
And did you pull up the complaint?
No.
Have you ever seen the complaint?
I don't believe I have.
Have you yourself filed a complaint?
Nope.
Any reason why not?
Objection,
Grounds.
relevant,
Sustained.
argumentative.
As to the form of the question and on relevance. Next question.
Do you recall who subpoenaed you to testify here today?
It's on the subpoena.
You don't recall?
I'd have to have the subpoena with me to read the name.
Do you recall if it was the district attorney's office?
It was.
Do you recall about how long ago you received the subpoena?
You can answer that.
A month or two ago, a couple months ago. I got a subpoena, so that's all I know, and I had to show up at a certain time.
So you knew it was a possibility that you would be called to testify?
I had no expectation of the subpoena until I went to the DA's office.
So you went to the DA's office?
They want to know. They ask. They want to see if you're worth having as a witness, or if you actually had any information that was pertinent to the case.
And so would it be fair to say that you felt that you did?
I didn't know.
Grounds.
I'll sustain as to the form of the question that strike the last response. Please rephrase.
Did you feel that you had information that would be relevant to the matter?
That's an irrelevant question,
Grounds.
Your Honor.
Sustained. Next question, please.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Next question, please.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Next question, please.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor?
Ask your next question, please.
When you went to the district attorney's office, do you recall whom you spoke with?
There was 3 or 4 people there. I don't recall their names. I recall their faces.
You said you do recall the names, not the faces?
No, I recall their faces, not their names.
Oh. Do you see any of those district attorneys in court here today?
I see one district attorney and one officer was in the room.
And for the record and for the jury, can you identify whom you're referring to?
I'd have to point.
I'll stipulate,
Yep.
Your Honor, I met
And
with Mr. Backler.
this officer here, sitting behind them.
All right, so the
Yes,
witness has
Detective.
pointed to District Attorney Sue Apper and Detective Casey.
And that was around the time you first received the subpoena?
It was the time that the subpoena told me to show up.
Do you recall ever being told about the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
vague.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
vague, beyond the
Grounds.
scope of the witness's knowledge, legally inaccurate.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Did Attorney Opper ever tell you who the plaintiff was in this matter?
The subpoena told me who the plaintiff was.
And do you recall who the plaintiff is?
Darrell Brooks.
That's the plaintiff?
Or not the plaintiff, the plaintiff is, I think, city of Waukesha or state of Wisconsin, I'm not sure.
And it'd be fair to say that that's not a living, breathing human being.
Objection,
Grounds.
relevance.
Sustained, not relevant. Next question.
Are you aware that only a living, breathing human being can make a claim?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained for those reasons, and it's also not an accurate statement of the law.
Definitely not argumentative.
Mr. Brooks, under 90611, I need you to move on from this topic and ask a different line of questions, please.
Move on from what topic, Your Honor?
Next question, sir.
Can I know what topic you're referring to, Your Honor?
Next question, please.
If I don't know the topic, how would I know to go in a different direction?
Mr. Brooks, under 90611, I need you to ask a question.
Do you know if there's even a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. Under 90611, sir, please move on from this topic or I will declare your cross-examination closed.
Under what law and fact, Your Honor?
Under 90611, please ask a question.
And where can I find 90611?
This is your last opportunity to ask a question, sir.
Your Honor, the jury desires to know this information.
All right, then the state, any redirect?
No redirect. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. State may call its next witness.
Thank you, Sean. Have a good
Dominic Caproon, DOMANICCAPROON.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Mr. Caproon, are you a resident of the city of Waukesha?
Yes.
Where were you living on November 21st of 2021?
417 Central Avenue.
The objection is overruled. His answer may stand. When there's an objection, if you would just wait until I rule on it before you answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
417 Central Avenue, Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Okay. Were you home on the afternoon of November 21st, that Sunday afternoon?
Yes.
Objection leading.
Overruled. His answer may stand.
What was the answer?
Yes. I believe is what he said.
Yes.
Can you tell us what happened shortly before 5 o'clock p.m. that day?
Well, we were at home, and my youngest son just got home from a friend's house, and we were ready to get water from Woodman's, and we
Were you outside or inside?
we were inside the house. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you at some point make your way outside?
We eventually decided to go, and we were bringing the jugs out to the truck, and sorry.
It's okay. Tell us about the setup. Where was your truck parked?
My truck was parked by the back door, and the tailgate was facing the entry of the driveway.
So the truck was in the driveway?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened is you were also standing in the driveway?
When I was putting the jugs in the back of the truck, my oldest son, looked up, and he kind of pointed behind me, and I went to turn, and Mr. Brooks was coming up the driveway, and when I turned, he kind of stopped, and I noticed that he wasn't wearing a jacket or shoes. Just
Could you tell us what he was wearing?
he was
Objection
wearing.
leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
Okay. He was wearing just blue jeans and like a red T-shirt, and he had lifted his shirt and did a 360 and told me that he didn't have any weapons, and that he needed a phone to call an Uber. And so I said, yeah, sure, no problem. So, I handed him my phone, and I had suggested to him that my neighbor was a Lyft driver, and so we continued to, with the containers, and so I put the last one in, and he handed me my phone, and he turned the corner and just wanted to see if he, got a hold of my neighbor, looked around the corner, and then he was gone.
Okay.
So
When Mr. Brooks lifted his shirt and did a 360 and said he was unarmed. Were those the first words he said to you while you were in your driveway?
Objection, leading, and I do not consent to being called that name.
Overruled.
I'm not exactly sure. I think it was more or less all together.
Okay. And how many of your sons were present and in the driveway with you?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
2.
How old were they at the time?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
One was 21 and the other one was 14.
Do you recall providing a physical description of Mr. Brooks, the person you've referred to as Mr. Brooks today, back on November 21st when you met with the police?
Objection, I do not consent to being called that name.
Mr. Brooks, that's not a valid objection at this time. Go ahead, you may
I don't
answer.
consent to being called that name.
Go ahead and answer.
Yes. I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Back on November 21st, when you met with the police, did you provide a physical description of the man who came up your driveway?
Yes.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
What was the physical description you provided?
It was a black male, mid-30s at the time, dreadlocks, tied up in a band. He had tattoos. One I noticed above his right eye, and some he had on his arms, but it was kind of dark yet, so didn't.
So the darkness prevented you from being able to see any detail of the arm tattoos?
Yes.
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Your Honor, could you please instruct Mr. Brooks to remove his mask momentarily?
Mr. Brooks, please remove your mask and look at the witness.
Mr. Caprone, the person you've described today as walking up your driveway, the person who you've referred to as Mr. Brooks today, do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Objection,
Yes.
leading.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Consent to being called that name either.
Yes.
Could you please point to him and then tell us what he's wearing?
He's wearing a suit and tie.
Your Honor, let the record reflect, please, that the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
And that he pointed with his right hand towards Mr. Brooks.
Thank you for that.
Objection, I
additional.
don't consent to being called that name. For the record.
Whose phone, you described handing a phone to Mr. Brooks, whose phone was it?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Your objection is noted, although it's not legally relevant at this time, and I'd ask that you not interrupt with an objection for that reason under 906.11. Go ahead, Attorney Witchow, your question again.
Called that name.
Whose phone was it that you handed to the man in your driveway?
That was my phone.
And did you see what that man did with the phone?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
He called a number on the phone, or called somebody, which I at the time thought was Uber.
Did that man then hand the phone back to you at some point?
Yes.
When you met with the police, did they ask to see your phone?
Yes.
And the purpose of that was to try and see the number that
Yes.
Mr. Brooks had called?
Objection. I
Overruled.
don't consent to being called that name.
Yes.
Would you please show for the witness only exhibit number 74, a photograph?
Go ahead.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Grounds.
It's relevant.
Mr. Caprone, do you see a photograph on the screen in front of you?
Yes.
What are we looking at here?
This is the number that Mr. Brooks had called.
Can you read that number out loud for us?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
414-610-2153.
And this is a call history screenshot, is that right? Where we can see all the recent calls to and from that number?
Yes.
Is this an accurate depiction of how your phone screen looked that afternoon as you showed it to the police?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Yes.
I move Exhibit 74 into evidence and ask for permission to publish.
Objection. Relevancy.
Exhibit 74 is received. Permission to publish is granted. The objection's overruled.
Can you zoom in on the bottom half of this photograph? Okay, Mr. Caprun, did you call this number at any point?
Objection leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
No.
So all three of these calls, outgoing, incoming, and canceled, would have been made by someone other than you.
Yes.
Objection leading.
And the only person who had your phone during that time frame was who?
Objection
Me.
leading.
Or
Overruled.
Derek, no, Mr. Brooks.
After Mr. Brooks handed you your phone back, what happened next?
A lady had called me, and I answered the phone, and I asked her if she was Uber, and she told me she wasn't an Uber.
Did she say anything else?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
No.
Is the call that you're talking about, the lady who called you, was that incoming call from that 414 number we just looked at?
Objection leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Did you recognize the number that called you?
I didn't recognize it. I didn't look at the number. I just answered the phone.
And it was recorded in your phone's call history?
Yes.
And it was the same number that Mr. Brooks had used your phone to dial?
Objection leading, and I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. I'm sorry, I took the exhibit down. Did you need it back up?
No, we're done.
All right, thank you.
And that was a yes, just to be clear?
Yes.
Did Mr. Brooks leave at some point?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Yes.
Did you see what direction he went when he left?
I guess it would be like the southwest part of my property, heading more westerly towards my neighbors.
Okay. Do you know what street he was headed, or he appeared to be headed toward?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Well, Central Avenue is an L Street, and he was heading towards Central.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all.
All right, very well. Any questions, Mr. Brooks, for this
Yes.
witness?
I don't consent to being called that name for the record.
My name is Darrell Brooks Jr.
Do you recall giving a statement to a Detective Schwartz?
I'm not sure what his name was.
I'm referring to a Detective Mandy L. Schwartz, so that would be a woman.
There was a female, yes.
And do you recall giving a statement to the woman law enforcement officer?
Yes.
Do you recall if that was the same night or days immediately after? Or?
It was the same night.
And do you recall in that statement if you were asked about a description of the person in your driveway?
Yes.
Do you recall what you said?
Yes.
May you state it for the record and for the jury?
Yes. Oh, a black male, 30s, dreadlocks, red shirt, jeans, no shoes, no jacket.
If it pleases the court, I have the statement here, and I would like to show the witness.
Is it his written statement?
It's I'm guessing, whatever statement he gave to Detective Shorts.
Is it a written statement?
I don't know if it's a written statement.
Would
Maybe
this be the police report?
Yeah.
If it's not his written statement, then I'm going to deny that request to show it to the witness. You may ask a question.
Do you recall in your report with Detective Shorts that you described the male as approximately 5'5" to 5'6", weighing approximately 120 to 125 pounds, and the male appeared to be in his 20s?
Yeah, I don't recall.
Any reason why this report would say that, and then you would, when you were asked the description, you gave a different description? Any reason why the two would conflict?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Grounds.
And misstates the evidence.
Sustained.
Reason for the sustain? Grounds for the sustain?
Sustained as to the form of the question. And it misstates the testimony in part.
Well, I'm reading from the report that was given to the detective.
And you can't testify as to what that report says. You can only question the witness on it, sir.
That was a question. Do you recall?
He said he did not recall. Next question.
Any reason why your description would change from that night till now?
I'm not sure.
You made reference to when the male that was in your driveway left your driveway, they went towards Central, I think is what you said. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Do you recall stating in your report that they went in the direction of West Avenue?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that that's two different directions?
Yes.
Any reason why that would change from then till now?
Not sure.
And you made reference to it being kind of dark, so it was a little hard to tell about certain aspects of that interaction. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Would you say it was dark or dusk?
Dusk.
So it'd be fair to say that you were unable to identify tattoos?
I would be able to, yes.
you would be able to identify tattoos, or you wouldn't?
Not. I knew I saw tattoos.
But you couldn't make out because of the lighting. You couldn't make them out. Would that be fair to say?
I could make out tattoos.
Do you recall stating that you were not able to identify the tattoos?
In, I guess, in description, I guess, or in detail, sorry.
And not being able to make out in detail would be referring to the tattoos on the arms?
Yes.
And during that interaction in the lighting, you could tell that there was some type of rubber band or tie in the hair?
Yes.
Do you recall what color that might have been?
No, I don't.
You made reference to a number calling you back and you not looking at the number but just answering. Do you recall stating that?
Yes.
Did you ever at any time ask who that was that called?
I just asked if it was the Uber driver.
Stating that the male you had the interaction with, do you recall stating that you did not really think he was understanding what you were telling him?
I don't understand the question.
That would be in reference to you stating that your neighbor was an Uber driver, did you? Or a Lyft driver was, I think, the word you said. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And you stated that you don't recall if the individual went to your neighbor's house at that time. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Do you recall around what time you were subpoenaed to testify here today?
No, I think a letter came in the mail in July.
And did you follow up with the district attorney's office at that point?
Yes.
Do you recall whom you spoke with?
Not quite sure the names, but
You made let the record reflect, you made a hand gesture with your left hand. Would that be referring to the table?
yes,
The prosecution table?
yes,
So you recall speaking to one of those attorneys?
yes.
Do you recall whom?
The gentleman here.
I'll stipulate that Mr. Caprin's pointing at me.
Yeah.
All right, the record will so reflect.
And at any time, did you ever see a police report or a complaint in this matter?
No.
Did you ever yourself make a claim in this matter?
Don't understand the question.
Did you file a claim?
I don't understand the question.
Did you yourself file a complaint with law enforcement?
No.
Ever spoke with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds?
Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
90611.
Are you aware of any plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained. Relevance 90611 as well.
You ever seen a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Had any conversations or any interactions with the plaintiff?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Ever had a phone conversation with the plaintiff?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Ever been contacted by the plaintiff in any way?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Have you ever contacted the plaintiff in any way?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
as to the form of the question.
Have you followed this matter in any way?
No.
So it'd be fair to say you didn't seek to testify in this matter. That'd be fair to say?
Yes.
Were you persuaded in any way to testify in this matter?
No.
Did you prepare in any way to testify in this matter?
No.
And before you were shown Exhibit 74, and that was the call log of your phone, correct? Before, I'm sorry,
Yes.
before today, had you seen that those photos in reference to your call log?
Yes.
You seen them before today?
Yes.
Did you anticipate seeing them today?
Yes.
How so?
through through the district attorney.
So you were informed that you would see those same photos by the district attorney?
Yes.
Were you at any time told what to say by the district attorneys?
No.
And are you even aware of a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
I previously sustained it. Next question.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Next question. Under 90611, please continue. Otherwise, I'll declare the cross-examination ended.
You can declare whatever you want to. No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Very briefly, thank you, Judge. Mr. Caprone, I just want to clarify the geography of your neighborhood, okay? So back where you were living on November 21st of last year on Central Avenue, does Central run east to west, north to south, or something else?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Central runs east and west and north and south.
What direction does it run where you were living at the time?
Objection, leading.
East and west.
Overruled. It's not leading. You may answer.
Objection, relevancy.
It's relevant. You may answer, sir.
East and west.
And then where does it change and run north and south?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
It changes my neighbor's house, and then it turns north and south.
That happens to the west of where your house was?
Objection, leading.
Yeah.
Overruled. His answer may stand. Chelsea, yes.
Yes.
Where is West Avenue in relation to where your house was?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
West.
So is it fair to say that if you're standing in your driveway at the time and head west, you would hit where Central Avenue turns, and then if you kept going, you'd hit West Avenue?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
So is it also fair to say that if you're heading towards Central Avenue, you're also heading toward West Avenue?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
You recall meeting with myself and my colleagues here a few weeks ago?
Objection,
Yes.
relevancy.
Overruled.
Do you remember where that meeting took place?
Here.
In the courthouse?
Yeah.
During business hours?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You questioned him about meeting with the prosecution. These are proper.
I didn't question him about the time.
It's proper redirect. Go ahead, sir. You may answer.
Yes.
We discussed your potential testimony, is that right?
Yes.
Were we asking you questions about November 21st?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
We showed you that the photograph of the call log, right?
Yes.
And you had an independent recollection. You had seen that call log before because it's from your own phone.
Objection, leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Had you ever seen that photograph before?
Yes.
And had you ever looked at your phone screen before?
Objection for leading.
Not leading. It's relevant, and he may answer.
Yes.
Did we at any time give you a script for your testimony today?
Objection, asked during cross.
It's redirect. It's proper. You may answer. It's overruled.
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all we have.
All right. Thank you, sir. You may step down. Statement called to next witness.
Thank you. The state calls Aaron Cordes.
First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Erin Cordes, first name E-R-I-N, last name Cordes, C-O-R-D-E-S.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Cordes.
Good morning.
Ma'am, I'd like to direct your attention to the date of November 21, 2021. Did you attend the Waukesha Christmas Parade that afternoon?
Yes, I did.
And who did you attend the parade with?
My husband and my 2 children.
Do you recall from what location you watched the parade?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. She may answer.
We watched it from the corner of West and Wisconsin.
Okay. And do you understand that to be near the end of the parade route?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. She may answer.
I believe it was close to the end. The parade rounded the corner and continued on, and I don't know exactly where it ended.
Okay. And as you were at that location watching the parade, did something unusual happen?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Yes, we saw a car going pretty fast around the corner, and I remember my husband said that's not part of the parade. Grab the kids, because our kids were in the middle of the road picking up candy at the time.
Okay.
So, and the car just did not stop and kept going.
Was there a police officer present at that corner?
Yes, there was.
What did you see the police officer do?
Well, the car, I thought it was coming at us for a minute, but it ended up swerving and going through the barricades, and the police officer fired 3 shots at the vehicle.
You were standing right there at that intersection?
Yes, I was.
Objection.
Objections noted. It's overruled. Her answer may stand. Next question. Go ahead.
What did you do after that, ma'am?
Well, we ran up to the house behind us as the car was coming at us, and I was just kind of keeping an eye out for the car at the time, because it looked like it was out of control, and I didn't know if it was going to go up to the house we were at or what direction it was going. So we just stayed by the house for a little bit, just kind of in shock.
Okay.
After that happened.
Okay. And at some point, did you decide to leave the area?
Yes, we did.
Where did you go?
We were parked a little bit further away because we had gotten to the parade late. So we were parked a few blocks out of the way on Elizabeth Street.
Okay.
At Aries Industries.
Do you have some familiarity with Aries Industries?
Yes, I do.
Relevancy.
Overruled. She may answer. Do me a favor. If there is an objection, wait until I rule on it before you answer.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And what's your familiarity with Aries Industries?
Objection.
Overruled.
My husband is employed at Aries Industries.
Do you happen to know the address of that location?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
I don't offhand, no.
Okay. Do you know what street it's on?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
Leading.
It's not leading. Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, Elizabeth Street.
Okay. And how were you able to, strike that. You were walking back to Aries Industries, that's where you had parked, right?
Correct.
What was your route or your path that you took?
We continued straight on West Avenue until we got to Elizabeth Street, and then took a right on Elizabeth Street.
Okay. Pretty much a straight shot?
Yes.
Just a couple blocks?
Yes.
Down West Avenue, and then you hang a right on Elizabeth?
Correct.
Okay. As you were doing that, making your way back to your car, did you encounter somebody out on foot?
Yes, we did.
Tell us about that, please.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. She may answer.
We had just rounded the corner onto Elizabeth Street, and Darrell Brooks, we encountered Darrell Brooks. He came out of the shadows between a couple houses and approached us.
Okay. Now, you refer to this person by name. Did you know Mr. Brooks prior to this encounter?
No.
Okay. Never met him before?
Correct.
Objection.
And you said he...
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
The objection came after her answer. Her answer will stand. Next question.
You said he kind of came out of... Did you say the bushes?
Objection.
What did you say?
Objection.
Oh, overruled. She rephrased. He may answer. She may answer. I'm sorry.
It appeared he came from between 2 houses, so I don't know exactly where he was.
Okay. And did you notice his appearance when he approached you?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
What did you notice?
I just remember it was a very windy, cold night, and he was dressed pretty inappropriately for the night. I noticed he was visibly shivering. He had a red short sleeve t-shirt on and was not wearing shoes.
Do you see the same person present in this courtroom here today?
Yes, I do.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that Mr. Brooks be instructed to remove his mask and look at the witness so she can properly identify him, please.
Mr. Brooks, please unmask and look at the witness. Sir, would you please unmask and look at the witness? Thank you.
I was writing something down.
All right, thank you. Just want to make sure you heard me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that the gentleman you encountered on the street that you're describing for us, ma'am?
Yes, it is.
Did Mr. Brooks speak to you in any way?
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name.
You may answer.
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
He asked if either of us had a phone that he could use. And we said, we hesitated because it was strange. It was a strange encounter. And after what we had just witnessed at the parade, I think we were both pretty much on edge at that point. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you're referring to we, who are you referring to?
Sorry, my husband and I.
Okay, go ahead. So he asked for the phone.
Correct.
You kind of pause.
Yep.
And then what'd you do?
And then
overruled. Go ahead, you may answer.
His next words were, "I'm not going to hurt you. I just need to use your phone." And that's when I gave him my phone.
Okay. Did he use your phone? Did you see him manipulate your phone in some fashion?
Objection. What do you mean by manipulate?
Overruled. She may answer.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Did you see him use your phone in some way?
Yes, I did.
What did you see him do?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
He called his mom.
Could you hear what he was saying on his end?
Yes, I could hear what he was saying.
Could you hear the responses being provided by the person on the other end of the phone?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
No, I could not hear the other side of the conversation.
Okay. Tell us to the best of your memory what you remember Mr. Brooks was saying into the phone.
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Go ahead and answer, please.
Not to be called that name. Thank you.
What is your name?
Brooks.
First name?
He just kept asking his mom to call him an Uber. And he wasn't responding to anything that she was asking. He just kept repeating, "Call me an Uber. I need an Uber now."
Did he sound urgent in his voice?
Objection leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
How did his voice sound?
There was a sense of urgency that he needed an Uber and he needed it now.
And he was specifically referring to the person he was speaking to by what name?
Mom.
Objection leading.
Overruled. She will answer. Her answer will stand.
At some point, did Mr. Brooks turn his attention to you and ask a question to you as he was still on the phone?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Go ahead and answer.
He asked for the address where we were located at the time.
What did you tell him?
I did not know the address, so I asked my husband what the address was, and he provided the answer.
Okay. And again, you're very close to your husband's workplace.
We were actually in the parking lot at that time.
Okay. I'm going to... Well, let me ask you this. At some point, did he terminate his phone call?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, he did.
And what happened then?
He said that he was freezing and he asked if I knew of any place that he could go warm up. So my husband directed him towards the lobby of Aries.
Okay. Did he return your phone? Did he return your phone to you?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And did you see if he left your presence, where did he go?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
He went up to the lobby.
You saw that?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you go?
We were pretty on edge at that point, so we put our kids in the car as quickly as possible and drove down the road.
Okay. I'm going to show you some exhibits on the screen in front of you, okay? First, is 171, I'm sorry. Do you see a photograph on the screen in front of you, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you recognize anybody or any place in that photograph?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
I recognize the Aries building in the background and Darrell Brooks on the porch.
Okay. 171's previously been admitted, Your Honor. I'm going to request permission to publish again.
Permission granted.
Objection.
All right.
It's noted. It's overruled. It's already been received.
Ms. Cordes, that's a touch screen in front of you. Could you just please point out Aries Industries and specifically, if you can, the area where you saw Mr. Brooks head to the lobby of the building?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name again. For the record.
Jury will disregard that last comment by the defendant.
So do you want me to circle?
Yeah, circle or X or dot, whatever.
It's way in the other corner over here, so it's hidden by the trees.
Okay. So the area where you first encountered Mr. Brooks, is that actually shown in this photograph?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Jury will disregard that comment.
I don't consent. For the record.
Go ahead and answer, ma'am.
It's more over here where we were parked. There's a second parking lot over there.
Okay. And then the person in the photograph, can you circle the person, please? Is that what Mr. Brooks looked like that evening when you spoke to him?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Go ahead and answer.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going to put up Exhibit 76. And we're going to play it for you first before it gets shown to the jury, okay? So let me know when it's up, please.
It's on her screen.
Okay, thank you. For the record, this is a clip that's 53 seconds long. I'm just going to play maybe the first 10 seconds or so and see if she recognizes. All right, we've played about the first 10 seconds of that clip. Do you recognize the what is shown in this video, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
It's the lobby of Aries Industries.
Okay. And is this the door that you directed Mr. Brooks to?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
You may answer, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe this video is a true and accurate depiction of the events of November 21 of 21?
Yes, I do.
Move to admit 76 and permission to publish, Your Honor.
I believe there was an objection. It's noted. It's overruled. Exhibit 76 is received and permission to publish is granted.
The witness wasn't there in this video. How could it be relevant?
Your objections noted, sir.
How could it be relevant?
We're going to play it in its entirety, Your Honor. As soon as the jury's got it. They got it? Okay, thank you. Play. Okay, we can pause it at the 39 second or 40 second mark. I said we'll play the whole thing, but did you see a person approach the doors to the building during the video?
Yes, I did. I saw Darrell Brooks approach the door.
And is that consistent with what you saw that night as you watched Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
And now that you look at the door, do you see the address for the building on the door?
Yes, I do.
And what is the address, please?
550.
Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions.
All right. Mr. Brooks may have questions for you. Any cross, sir?
I don't consent to being called that name for the record.
My name is Darrell Brooks Jr.
Your cross, please.
Can I get to it?